15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome to the Maggie and Perloff Show. No Maggie today. Maggie's on a well-deserved break, but EJ Stewart is in the big chair today. And EJ, we already have problems.
Uh-oh. What happened now?
I am annoyed, outraged, mystified. This Shedeur Sanders conspiracy theories might be the dumbest thing I've heard in the history of coverage of NFL preseason. I have never once, and I've been paying close attention to fantasy football for fantasy football reasons, the preseason forever. Never have I heard anyone talk about the 2-minute drive in the third preseason game, the third and final preseason game. And for some reason, Rams play the Browns and on Saturday. And everyone's all up in arms because Shedeur Sanders did not get a chance to go in for the final 2-minute drive against four-string players who weren't even going to be on the team next year, including the guys on the Browns who would be around Shedeur. And everyone's all mad because Shedeur did not get a shot. Instead, Coach Kevin Stefanski put in Tyler Huntley. Now, this is after Shedeur struggled in the second half, took 5 sacks, looked bad, looked like a rookie, actually a rookie who didn't know what he was doing. And then he wasn't allowed to go in for the 2-minute drive. Shedeur was upset. He asked the coach to go back in. I think Shedeur kind of calmed down in some of the post-game comments. But a lot of people were mad, saying the Browns are not giving Shedeur Sanders a shot. And that's ridiculous. A, it's preseason. B, he's a fifth-round pick. C, there are 4 quarterbacks on this roster, kind of 5. And at the time, there were 6 because I saw Deshaun Watson and Tyler Huntley there, too. Yeah. So what do you expect? What was supposed to happen here with Shedeur? It went exactly as the Browns said it was going to go. He was their fourth-string quarterback, and he was a mess on Saturday. Not his fault. It was a kind of a meaningless situation, and it really isn't a big deal to me. Yeah. But they pulled him for the last 2 minutes because you're like, A, it's not looking good, and B, you know what? Let's give Snoop Huntley, who was a good guy, to come in here. Let's give him one more drive. We're going to cut him tomorrow. It is what it is. It is not this big deal that Shedeur Sanders backers are making it into.
But Perloff, the people to blame for this are the Cleveland Browns. Like
blame for what?
They created this environment. You drafted a celebrity in the 5th round, and that to me was silly to begin with. If you were going to take Shedeur Sanders, you needed to take him as a first, second, or third round pick, a guy that you were telling your fan base that, listen, we believe in him. This is a guy that we're going to look to for the future. He will get a real opportunity. The problem is Shedeur Sanders has a star power that is way, way, way beyond where he was drafted. So you have fans that are expecting that a player that we saw in college put up big numbers, a player that we saw be one of the best quarterbacks in college, they were expecting to see this guy get real opportunities to at least show that he can move up the depth chart, or at least show that he's a part of their long-term plans. To put a guy with this kind of star power as our 5th pick and think that, we're just going to close our eyes and pretend like this is like a normal situation, that was never going to happen. So the Cleveland Browns, you created this mess. You did the clownery. Now the clown has come back to bite. This is why this situation is happening. Had they drafted him in the 3rd round, they really liked him, and had say, hey, you're the young quarterback here, you're the only young quarterback here, and we're developing you, then you wouldn't have this fervor you have with people being upset every time Shedeur doesn't get a good look, or Shedeur's offensive line doesn't play well, or people say something bad about him. All this stuff wouldn't have happened, or wouldn't have been at least as outsized had there hadn't been the original quote-unquote sin, which was him falling so far in the draft and being taken in the 5th round. The NFL could have made a statement a long time ago about how this guy was not anywhere near a 1st-round pick or a 2nd-round pick. Instead, they let this kid fall like a rock, and nobody knew what the hell was going on. And now here we are. People are still confused and still trying to figure out what exactly is Shedeur's place in the NFL.
So you're blaming the Browns for drafting Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round.
Yeah, they should never took him.
And now, if they don't take him, it's possible that nobody takes him.
Yeah.
And you're not going to blame other teams, like the Browns saved Shedeur Sanders from falling out of the draft possibly. Don't you think the Browns were pro Shedeur Sanders? Not only did they save him from falling out of the draft, they've said nothing but glowing things about him. Their GM has said nice things about him. Their coach has said a million nice things about
I don't
him.
agree with that.
You don't think Stefanski has praised Shedeur
No, I don't
Sanders?
agree. I don't agree that the organization has only said nice things
Oh,
about
my
him.
God, they've said so many nice things.
No, when they drafted him, they said there was no congratulations. There was no we're happy to be here. It's,
He's a
hey,
5th-round pick.
Right, but I've seen 7th-round picks get drafted, and they say, hey, great job. We're excited for you to be here.
Wait, what do you mean? They never said nice
We
things?
saw the call. We listen and watch the phone call. We saw Andrew Berry's dumb face frowning like,
That was so out of context.
Like
It
he
was
got
a minute
grounded by his
before.
mom for 2 months. Okay, we saw the phone call where there's no congratulations, no we're happy to have you. It was, hey, you're gonna come here, you got to earn everything, you got to work for everything.
I hope so, yeah.
There was no wrapping your arms around Shedeur Sanders when he got drafted. So we can't say that since he got drafted, they only said nice things. They haven't. That's not true.
Well, they've been very effusive in their praise of Shedeur Sanders in camp. Even yesterday, like Sunday after he played poorly and Saturday after the game, like they are still positive on Shedeur Sanders. So like he's done everything we've asked. You know, I think he was their 4th-string quarterback based on the fact that they had 2 veterans, Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. They drafted Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd, so of course he was going to be the 3rd-string quarterback. It's math. He was drafted in the 3rd round. Shedeur was drafted in the 5th round. It all went according to exactly how they planned. They came out and they said, listen, we have 4 quarterbacks. We're going to keep the 2 rookies on a separate field. We're going to develop them separately. And then we're going to have the 2 veterans on another field. And by all accounts, they developed them really nicely.
But Perloff, if you're saying this is going according to plan,
yeah,
everyone is going insane, right? The social media is insane.
Yes,
everywhere.
Social media is insane.
Doesn't that suggest that the plan was stupid? Doesn't
No,
that suggest that the plan
not at all. It suggests social media is stupid.
No. If you're an NFL team, you got to anticipate how fans and media are going to react to
Why?
things. Why? What do you mean why?
Why do you have to run a football team? What the heck do you care what social media says?
Guess what? You know what happens? Those things become distractions, and those things become things that impact your football team. This is not a first rodeo with a team having distractions and teams having quote-unquote celebrity players that are backups. We saw what happened with Team Tebow. That is the kind of thing that can fracture franchises. That is the kind of thing that can create unnecessary distractions that hurt teams. So, yes, you have to anticipate that. To think that, we're going to be able to draft a celebrity quarterback in the 5th round and draft a 3rd-round quarterback, and it's going to go, whoop, that's going to happen. It's all going to be good. Nobody's going to complain. Nobody's going to say this or that. That's a fantasy land. Like, to think that was going to happen, the Browns really thought that? They're dummies, which
Wait.
Browns being dummies, shocker here, right?
So, first of all, there's nothing to fracture. They were already fractured. I mean, they were terrible last year. So there was
right.
No
So you want to
downside.
add more fuel to a fire that's already burning? How
What's
does
the
that make
difference?
sense?
The fire is already in full strength. They're not adding more fuel.
But you just said they're doing this because they have a plan of success. The plan was,
I'm
we
just
have
saying,
2 young quarterbacks, and that they're going to be good, and that we're going to develop these guys long term, and the hope is that one of these guys could eventually be your guy.
You know what's going to happen this year?
Yeah.
So they're going to start Joe Flacco.
Yep.
If they win, great, and they go for it.
Sure.
If they lose, especially because they have a really tough schedule to start the season, at some point Kenny Pickett's going to come in. At some point Dylan Gabriel is going to come in. And at some point Shedeur Sanders, late in the season, is going to come in, likely. Shedeur, 4th string, might not get in. But they are going – it's Browns. They always play all their quarterbacks. All the Browns quarterbacks, I don't care if it's Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I don't care if it's Jameis, they all get on the field. So – that they know that this is not an ideal quarterback room. Might as well throw Shedeur in the mix. What are the other options? Do you really want? You think it'd be a better situation if Shedeur went undrafted and got to sign somewhere else?
Yes, because at least now we'd have an honest assessment of who he is.
So
if he's a 4th round pick, yesterday or Saturday, whenever he played with an offensive line where 4 of the 5 guys got cut. Okay, so he's a 4th-string quarterback and a 5th-round pick.
Right.
If you're telling me that this guy is not part of anybody's future plans and he's not someone you actually believe in, because I don't believe the Browns really believe in him as a future option. Otherwise, I don't think you'd have him playing in these situations.
So you're saying a
team should not have drafted him.
So you're saying a team that undrafts him, that's a new word, that didn't draft him at all is going to believe in him more? A team that signed him as a street free agent?
No, if he goes undrafted, that sends a bigger message to the media and the fans that this is not a player we deem to be a real NFL player. So when he goes out there with your 4th round, with your guys that are going to be cut, or your 6th and 7th round picks, or UDAs, free agents, there's not this expectation of, well, why isn't he getting more time? I think the other thing, too, that is looming large here and why people are so upset, too, is this would be one thing if Shedeur Sanders in his first game looked like crap. If he went out there and was throwing picks, getting sacked all over the place, and didn't look like he knew what he was doing, then that would be one thing where we say, okay, clearly this is a guy that doesn't have it. When he saw him play with not the third and fourth string, but the second string offense, and against some of the Panthers' first string, and then eventually their second and third string,
he had one drive against the Panthers starter. But
but he looked like a guy that belonged. He looked like a young quarterback that looked like, okay, this is the kind of guy you could develop. To go from that and say that because of that performance, he gained no ground in the quarterback competition. He gained no ground at all in terms of the depth chart. I think that's where you invite conspiracies. Dylan Gabriel, by all accounts in camp, hadn't looked that great. He got hurt. So I think if you're following this quarterback competition, which everyone was with a laser, people look at that and say, well, that means that him and Dylan should probably be at least even Steven, right? Especially after Dylan played the next week. He played well, but they were probably about even. I think that's fair to say. I think then to go to this week, and Shedeur is so far down the depth chart, and he can't even get a final drive in there. I think that's where people look at this and say, what is going on?
Well, who else got hurt? Shedeur got hurt.
Right.
He missed a bunch of practices.
Right.
Well, so how is he, with a hurt oblique and missed the second game, how is he supposed to move up the depth chart?
Well, Dylan Gabriel had zero impact on him being hurt. Dylan Gabriel got hurt, and it was starting the next week. So you can't tell me that.
But by the way, and Shedeur couldn't even play that game, so it wasn't even an issue.
But Dylan couldn't play the week before. My point, though, is that you see what I'm saying? Dylan Gabriel had the injury did not impact him at all, even though the guy that was behind him, who by accounts in camp, they looked like Shedeur was kind of outplaying him. There was no impact. There was no impact on the depth chart. Shedeur gets hurt. Dylan Gabriel gets out there to play. He's not impacted at all by the injury.
First of all, I don't buy the fact that the media is a smarter quarterback evaluator than the coaching staff. I don't buy that at all. The coaching staff has a much better idea of what's actually happening than the media. That's one thing. Also, too, this idea that he was throwing to some of the same guys that Dylan Gabriel was throwing to. He had a perfect opportunity. He came in at the beginning of the second half with backups. Dylan Gabriel, they were throwing to Sal Cannella, who I never heard of, by the way. They were throwing to the same guys. And also, here's one of the hypocrisies of this whole Shedeur criticism.
Yep.
That they're like, the guys that were around him were terrible. How do you expect them to go out there and play with fourth stringers, the guys who are going to get cut? And I can't believe you didn't let him play with those scrubs in the last drive. So which is it? That he shouldn't have been playing with these scrubs? Or you got to let him play with those scrubs in the last drive? Like, if they were so bad, they weren't going to help him execute the 2-minute drive.
Well, listen, I think that some of that I think there were a lot of things going on in that last drive. I think Stefanski thought that he was overwhelmed, and maybe it would have been best for him to sit down because he looked lost. It looked like he could get hurt out there. That's how bad he was not seeing the rush, not seeing the coverage. He just didn't look good. So there was that. I think there was a little bit of, hey, Tyler Huntley, you're going to get cut. Let's let you put on some tape that maybe you can help you get on another team. Right. None of those things.
So where's your conspiracy? That all makes perfect sense.
Right. But still, I think there's the other side, which is this is a young quarterback that's not going to get a lot of opportunities. It's a 2-minute drill. Wouldn't it make sense for this guy to get this kind of work in this kind of environment? Because when's the next time he's going to get to run 2 minutes against another NFL defense? Like never? Or maybe, I don't know, in week 17 or whatever? Like that's the benefit to him having that opportunity. So I see both sides, but I understood why people were upset. Well, this is an opportunity to see him after struggling, maybe, okay, in a 2-minute drill where there's a no-huddle situation, maybe he can go out there and kind of fix this mess. It's like they let him go out there and let him kind of blow up, and then they didn't give him a chance to really redeem himself, which I know that's why probably Shedeur really wanted to go in the game, and that's why a lot of his fans were upset. That's why. Well,
nobody should be upset because it's preseason. Shedeur is like, I'm an alpha and I want to go out there and win. I'm like, win what? This is a fancy practice out there. So that's ridiculous to start with. I get Shedeur's competitive and I like that. But come on, dude, it's preseason. Like I watch Hard Knocks. Like they're a bunch of insurance salesmen out on the field there.
Yeah, but for him, I mean, that's his Super Bowl. I mean, he said after the first game that this was going to be his Super Bowl.
Oh my God.
He said it. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with him, but that's what he felt like. So for these guys that are towards the end of the roster, guys that are trying to make a team, he might not have known if he was going to be on the cut list. They have 4 quarterbacks. Yeah. It is a bizarre situation.
Well, by the way, that's why I think he was trying so hard to make a play because he's like, I'm 4th string. I gotta make my mark here. I know I'm way too talented to be a 4th stringer, and I think that's where he ran into trouble. Which, by the way, it's a good learning lesson for both him and the team. Like afterwards, the coach would say, "Listen, I know you're trying to make a play. Just settle down, run the offense." So I think that's what preseason is for. The other thing too is, let's say he was a normal 5th round quarterback.
Sure.
I agree he's not. He's more talented than that. Like nobody would care at all about how the Browns handle this. Nobody cares. I'll give you an analogy. The Eagles drafted Kyle McCord of Ohio State and Syracuse in the 6th round.
Yep.
And they're not giving him a shot at all. They did let him play against the Jets a lot. He didn't look great. So they brought in Sam Howell. Imagine if the Browns brought in Sam Howell. Nobody cares what happens to late-round quarterbacks usually. Nobody cares if Jalen Milroe has a legit shot to beat out Drew Lock for the backup job in Seattle. It's 100% irrelevant. But everyone is acting about the Browns'
What's the
depth
difference
chart.
between this situation and those situations? Those situations, the quarterback situation is settled.
Well, the Browns are
Hurts-
settled. I saw Joe Flacco look totally elite.
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco looked awesome in that game.
Joe
by the way.
Flacco, the Brown situation, I would not consider to be settled. Joe Flacco is 40 years old. He's one hit away from being, in a retirement home. That's not settled. Kenny Pickett, we know how he's played throughout his career. That's not settled. Like Jalen Hurts, that's a long-term answer in Philadelphia. Sam Darnold just came off throwing 37 touchdowns last season. They just
35,
gave him a big contract to be their starting quarterback. They got rid of their old starting quarterback to get him. So that situation is settled. There's an idea that the Browns QB #1 spot is up for grabs, which it is. The Browns don't want to have to play Joe Flacco. They're put in this position because they're in this weird middle game where they're trying to wait for this next year's draft to see if they can get their guy. So while this, battle for the Kyle, so to speak, is happening, yes, you're going to look at every option and say who could be a guy that can play. And they watched Shedeur Sanders in the Carolina game look out there and look like a respectable quarterback. So, yeah, people are going to be like, why isn't he getting a real shot?
Well, listen, it was the first preseason game. There was not a lot going on defensively. And also, Shedeur, by the way, did some of the things in this last preseason game. He was extending plays a lot in that first game. Like, think about his touchdowns, which is Shedeur. It's a good thing about Shedeur and a bad thing about Shedeur. Yep. Like, it's give and take. I think they want. And by the way, this Dylan Gabriel, everyone was lauding his performance.
I think he looked good.
There's some issues with Dylan Gabriel. I'm a big Dylan Gabriel fan, but I got to tell you, a pass got tipped. That's a huge problem. He was throwing some balls that guys were getting clobbered off.
Oh, he threw some hospital balls. Definitely.
Yeah, he threw some hospital balls. And here's the thing. He was throwing these outs, and Joe Thomas, who was doing the broadcast, was like, against a first-team NFL defense, they're gonna trick him, and they're going to run that back for a pick six. They never, for some reason, if I'm a Dylan Gabriel fan, I'm just about Stefanski never lets him throw the ball downfield. Not at all. He threw a ton of passes this preseason. Not one of them traveled 20 yards in the air.
Well, I watched every drop back last night, and every drop back was either one-step or three-step drop back.
Yeah.
There were no 5, 7-step. There was nothing in terms of them trying to push the ball down the field. And to be honest, I think that Stefanski probably likes that Dylan Gabriel plays on time. He's going to go to the first, second read. He's not going to be a guy who's going to dance around. Like, to me, this game was a very much a microcosm of why the Browns think Dylan Gabriel's the 3rd-round pick and why they think Shedeur Sanders is the 5th-round pick. Because in this Kevin Stefanski offense, Dylan Gabriel is going to get the ball. He's going to get it out quick. He's going to deliver the ball to the guys. The problem is going to be, again, what happens when the rush is more in his face? What happens if guys start undercutting these short routes, which they will in the regular season? Yeah. Those are big questions. But
because it's preseason, and we all know the preseason is not reflective of the real season. But with Shedeur's first game against the Panthers, which are making it seem like it was Nick Foles in the Super Bowl, it was such a performance. Or I can't even think of an analogy. Like, that was preseason too. It's preseason. The good and the bad. To overreact to either is a huge mistake.
I get it, but again, this is a rookie quarterback who is a celebrity who, by the NFL, because of the narrative they've allowed, wait. What
does that mean? The NFL has allowed this narrative. I'm sorry. Explain this.
They allowed a narrative that this guy was a top pick.
Who's they?
The NFL. I'm telling you.
Like Roger Goodell?
No, all the 32 NFL teams. The NFL could have been very clear in the draft process because the NFL draft scouts, yes, they want you to click on their mock drafts, but they don't want also to look like fools. They could have said very early on, this guy is nowhere near a first-round pick. Mm-hmm. He's not going in 2nd round. He's probably not going 3rd. That would have informed the fans when they were looking at mock drafts, not putting Shedeur Sanders going to number 1 at Tennessee. Like, this could have been handled a long time ago. Deion Sanders said that ridiculous statement about how, we're going to choose our destination. And again, those statements went around, and then when we looked at mock drafts, it seemed to align because we're seeing Shedeur Sanders everywhere in the top 5 picks. So if the NFL...
you're blaming now the problem is the mock drafters didn't get the right information. That's what you're saying.
100%. Why?
First of all, Lance Zierlein, our buddy from NFL Network and NFL.com, didn't want to put Shedeur in the first round. He's like, I'll put him here just because I know you're going to yell at me. The internet.
But that's
because
that's
people just get crazy about Shedeur like they did Tim Tebow. All right, we got to take a break. Yeah. I see you on the phone lines. You can call us, weigh in on Shedeur Sanders, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Again, Maggie's out. EJ is in. We have a lot to argue about today. Shedeur Sanders, also Micah Parsons, and we want to hear from you. Next, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on the Maggie and Perloff show. Andrew Perloff, EJ Stewart. Maggie is on vacation. I'm glad because I don't know how Maggie would have handled Shedeur Sanders struggling after the first game where she declared all 31 teams other than the Browns made a huge mistake passing on Shedeur. Thought that was a crazy overreaction, and I think people are crazy overreacting the other way. Now, it's just preseason. Even if Shedeur had balled out, we would have said, it was just against the fourth-string Rams defense. I mean, the Rams were not playing anybody.
You say we. There definitely was not going to be a we. There's going to be a lot of people that were like, see, Shedeur Sanders is him. Shedeur Sanders should be getting an opportunity. That's what was going to be said. Yes, there'd be the people who on the flip side would say, well, this is the fourth stringers. This is the preseason. Everybody relax. But as we saw after the first game, that there was going to be another side that was going to be saying that this guy is the real deal and this guy is the next one.
Right. But in my mind, and I think this is where I disagree with a lot of people out there, let the team figure all this out. This is social media, and basically the American football public has no say in who starts for the Browns. I'm like, I'm sorry, Kevin Stefanski's a two-time coach of the year. He's a good offensive coach. Let that coaching staff do it. And I listened to Andrew Barry, the GM, was on during the game. And again, he said something. He's like, people don't realize Shedeur Sanders had an oblique injury. He was physically struggling. Right. He's like, for a quarterback, that's a big deal, and nobody's talking about it. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good point. The dude missed about over a week. So that no one's even taking that into account.
I was surprised he played, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he looked fine, but one thing, we saw his bad habits come out, turning his back to the offense and running around trying to make a play. I get it. He's fourth string. He's got a lot of talent. It was like, I want to prove something. Let's go to the phone lines. We want to hear your thoughts on how the Browns have treated Shedeur Sanders. Have they done him a disservice? 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Let's go to Kenny in Dallas. All right, Kenny, what do you think? Have the Browns not treated Shedeur Sanders fairly?
Well, Perloff, this comment is really directed at you. I find it amazing that you can't understand what EJ is saying about the fan base's reaction and responses, and social media does matter. And here's why I say this. When a team wins an important game or even a Super Bowl, the first thing that the players and the coaches and the GM does, they thank the fan support. We couldn't have done it without our fans. Mm-hmm. But now we don't want to care about the fans when they don't like this show, this clown show that you're putting on. And you have to care because your players are tied to social media and they can't get off it. And it's going to affect their reactions are going to be affected. So no. The fans' reaction matters, and it does cause distractions for that team. And let me say this too, Perloff. As a Cowboys fan who cares nothing about the Cleveland Browns, I'm glad they exist because it gives me an outside perspective of what the Cowboys look like. Because just like Cleveland looks like a clown show, so does Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. They're like a clown show. But, Perloff, you can't keep talking about this stuff that's meaningless and the fans don't matter, and we just trying to put together a football team because when you win, don't come talking about how it was great for the fans to support you.
Kenny, you were in Dallas with Jerry Jones running a clown show, and he cares about the public way too much. Don't you want more like a Bill Belichick where he puts on blinders and he's like, I'm going to do it my way and ignore all the fans and everyone around him?
Perloff, you know that's a lie you just told because if he cared about the fan base in Dallas, he wouldn't have been the GM 20 years ago.
Wait, Kenny, as long as I have you, yes or no answer, is Micah Parsons playing week one?
No, and he shouldn't play. What they've done to Micah Parsons, they've insulted that man. They've gotten on TV, and Jerry Jones is saying, hey, I offered this contract, and I was going to make him the highest player. Well, guess what? Why wasn't you saying that 2 weeks ago? Why is this just now coming out? This is the case. Jerry, you're lying. And do I think Micah's completely innocent? But no. But Jerry is so guilty that whatever Micah has done this wrong, he is expunged. There's nothing to talk about with Micah.
All right.
Jerry, you're a clown.
Thanks, Kenny. And I kind of disagree with EJ, too. Like, I really think teams should put on blinders and ignore social media. I think that's – but I totally understand Kenny's point.
I just don't think it's a reality.
Okay.
I think if you're in 2025, that's just not a situation that you can do.
Let's go to Andreas in Chicago. All right, Andreas, Browns doing Shedeur Sanders wrong? Yes or no? What do you think?
In a way, yes. I think they're doing him a disservice. He was one of the more quarterbacks that got a lot of repetitions in college, and I think the Browns organization is just like the Cowboys, a clown show. I'm a Cowboys fan, and no, I don't think Micah Parsons is playing week 1 either. But I think Shedeur should be in a place where he can be mentored by a veteran or two, a coaching staff that believes in him.
They have 2 veterans. They have Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. You don't get any older than that.
I don't know if the coach believes in Shedeur Sanders.
Well, maybe, when you look around the NFL, 32 teams, do most coaches believe in their 5th-round picks, and are they ready to hand them over the team? No, I think he thinks he's a developmental player because he is a developmental player. Okay.
Andreas, you there?
All right. Well, thank you, Andreas.
I just think that the whole believing, not believing, I think this whole thing got screwed up when they had taken Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. Because most teams don't draft 2 quarterbacks, and they don't draft 2 quarterbacks like kind of late, right? You'll draft 1 in the 1st round, 1 in the 6th, or 1 in the 1st, 1 in the 5th.
A favor was made.
Right. I mean, to draft Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders did both guys no favors because it put them against each other. It was going to limit the reps for one of them. Yeah. And with Shedeur Sanders being the outside star that he is, it was going to put a bigger spotlight on Shedeur Sanders and a bigger spotlight on Dylan Gabriel. I've never seen this many people so invested in a 3rd-round quarterback like Dylan Gabriel. The fact that I'm sitting there watching Dylan Gabriel tape yesterday, I'm like, what the hell am I doing?
But why does anyone? Nobody cares if Dylan Gabriel wins the backup job. Nobody. They said that.
No, they care if he beats Shedeur Sanders. They do.
Yeah,
care.
But they don't care if Kenny Pickett is the backup, which it looks like Kenny Pickett, who's been injured with a hamstring, is going to be the backup. Not a single soul in America cares that Kenny Pickett's number 2.
They don't care. They do care because.
But if Pickett's the backup?
No, they care because Shedeur Sanders is a part of the quarterback room.
But here's the argument.
Because last week when he threw that pick 6, it was it the wide receiver's fault? Should he have thrown it anyway? Again, there's a microscope on all of these guys.
Right.
Luckily, Joe Flacco played great because he kind of put a silence to anybody saying that maybe he shouldn't have been QB1. But there is a microscope on all of these guys. Yeah. Again, I have not seen anyone talk about. You mentioned on the guy that's in Seattle,
Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, Milroe. I haven't seen anybody talk about Milroe.
Nobody. But let me ask you this question: people care about Dylan in relationship to Shedeur Sanders.
Correct.
Nobody cares that Kenny Pickett's going to be 2 and Dylan Gabriel has not earned a chance to be the number 2. As far as I have not seen one person complain about that.
Right, because they're not invested in Dylan Gabriel's success.
They're invested in him.
They are invested in him as being a supporting character in the role that is the Shedeur Sanders Broadway play. This is the Shedeur Sanders show, people. Let's not get it twisted. I don't care that he's QB4. This is the Shedeur Sanders show. All these other guys that are in this QB room are all supporting characters. And just like we all care about Iron Man and Iron Man, we're going to also care about these other supporting characters and how they relate to Tony Stark. And make no mistake, Tony Stark in this story is Shedeur Sanders, whether the Browns like it or not.
Well, let me ask you this question. Again, I'm hearing some things that are driving me crazy. You're saying like social media should matter when teams are making personnel evaluations because that's kind of what I'm hearing.
No, what I'm saying is if you're a team and you're trying to put together the best QB room possible and the most harmonious situation to foster winning, you have to consider what the social media response, and not just social media, by the way, radio.
But you just said no to what I said. It does sound to me like you were saying the social media should impact personnel evaluations, how you put together the quarterback room, for example. It sounds like a yes.
It's no in the sense that you're making it sound like, well, we think this guy is good, but the social media is going to be bad, so let's not draft him. Is that what
you're saying? Like they should not have drafted. I think you said they should not have drafted Shedeur Sanders because there'd be too much social media and fan pressure.
Because in this situation, yes. Because if you couldn't handle what was going to come with it, you can't then say, well, these people on social media are going crazy and losing their minds, and I don't know why. Well, we know why. You should have anticipated this. Now, if you were ready for the smoke, you were ready for this controversy, this outrage, this clickbait nonsense that we're dealing with, if you were okay with that, that's one thing. But you can't sit here on the other side, once you're on the other side of it and say, oh, no, it's these people that are crazy. It's not us. No, this guy was a superstar, and not only superstar in terms of a player, just superstar in terms of a personality. You drafted him in the 5th round when people thought he was going to be higher, and you drafted another guy ahead of him. What did you think was going to happen? And if you think that this is going to be the way that's going to the environment that's going to foster success for both Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, that to me is a stupid situation. Like, I don't look at this like we're talking about the Cleveland Browns. We're not talking about the Chiefs. We're not talking about the Eagles. We're not talking about a team that is above reproach when it comes to how they build quarterback rooms. Yeah. Man, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
so this
Deshaun Watson, $200-something million. Right.
So this is the teams you're probably most sensitive to. Like, what is the environment that we're fostering? Because you can say all you want that, well, we got the best quarterbacks that we want. Mm-hmm. But if Dylan Gabriel has to deal with every time he makes a sentence, people think he's taking a shot at Shedeur.
There's entertainers and there's competitors.
And Shedeur Sanders has to deal with, every time having to answer questions about other quarterbacks or what he feels about how they're treating him, then that's not actually an environment that fosters any winning. That's what I'm trying to say.
None of it has anything to do with anything. They play the Bengals in week 1, and Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel are going to make no impact on that. They need Myles Garrett to kill Joe Burrow, and they need David Njoku to get 150 yards receiving. They have way bigger problems. So none of it means anything.
So what happens when Joe Flacco goes 5 for 16 in the first half for 35 yards? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, nothing. I mean, I think they're going to go. They're going to play Flacco that game. And
you don't think that the fans will be chanting for Shedeur or Dylan Gabriel?
Oh yeah, the fans want Shedeur, but it doesn't. None of it matters. Like, at a certain point, they're going to have to make an evaluation. Like, are we losing? Let's bench Flacco. Let's go to Pickett. They're going to play all 4. All right, we got. Who's this guy sitting to our left? By the way, I don't recognize him. There's a new update guy. EJ, that's exciting. Seen him in a while. A new update guy. Oh, wait, you look a lot like Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, it is actually Quinn Ewers. I was caught by the Dolphins.
It's Quinn Ewers' doppelganger. Andrew Bogusch is back in the house after a week off. How was vacation?
Vacation was okay.
He was battling a hurricane that was about 100, 200 miles away from him. How fun could your vacation have been on the beach?
Yeah, it wasn't the beachiest of beach vacations, but it was still good to not wake up at 3:30 every morning.
Oh, did you feel the hurricane? I know you were on the Jersey Shore.
Yeah,
it was further south.
There was, I guess, different bad weather Monday and Tuesday, but then Wednesday and Thursday were crazy winds and surf and waves, and can't even go in the water, can't go on the beach. It was nuts.
I don't want to distract us from updates here, but my wife and family are in the Outer Banks of North Carolina right now. They got down there. They're staying with a friend. Tourists were not allowed in until Sunday, I think. But they only private residents, so they're seeing the effects everywhere.
Yeah, I can't believe how far away the storm was from where I was, out in the ocean, and still beach erosion and flooding. It's crazy.
Yeah, you look nice and tan and relaxed. One question: you were on the Jersey Shore. A lot of Eagles fans around. That must have been horrible.
It is a personal hell where you just walk into all of these stores and it's like Eagle shirts, Philly shirts, Spectrum shirts. Here's a random Sixer thing. It's terrible. It really is. I love everything about Ocean City, New Jersey, except for its proximity to Philadelphia.
Sounds awful.
And Eagles fans are really feeling themselves. I was on vacation. I went out to California and Arizona. I was wearing either Eagles hats or Phillies hats. People were hugging me. It was crazy.
So my wife and I went to 2 Saturdays ago. We went on our way, as the trip began, we went to a concert in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
And the opening band, the guys doing introduction is and here's whatever on the drums. He's from Philadelphia. Which then led to 74 EAG chants the rest of their set. Yeah. Every time there was silence, someone did Eagles chants.
I despise their existence.
Yeah, Shane Gillis, the comedian, he opens up his show with a bunch of Eagles highlights, and the crowd goes crazy. I don't know. Yeah, it's
the whole reason why I don't want to go see Shane Gillis. I love Shane Gillis, but I ain't going to watch his stand-up just because of those 30 seconds at the beginning.
Eagles fans make being an Eagle fan their personality.
Yeah, dude.
It's a one-trick pony.
I think
exactly. That's all they got.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me because, again, in the national landscape, I think the Eagles have become a flagship team now. But in the national landscape, I haven't felt that way before. But the way Eagles fans want to make it point and clear, we are Eagles fans, and that's the first thing you should know about me. It doesn't matter where you are.
A quarter of their fan base doesn't even know how to spell Eagles.
Well, can I speak from true. Can I speak from personal? It is all I got. I'm a middle-aged man with 2 kids and a wife. There's nothing exciting going on there. Well, of course it's all I got.
I just wish. I hope
does somebody have some other options?
I hope you guys lose twice every week this year. Can you be 0-34? Is that possible?
Listen,
God, from your lips to God's ears.
they're like, listen, my life is not that small. I obviously have fantasy football and constant betting too. So I have.
And again, you're free. Your house is empty again.
Oh, dude, I know.
It's like
my
the
wife
third time this summer.
Does
You've
your
been
family
home.
live with you?
It's unbelievable.
No, second time, and my wife's so jealous. She's like, I can't believe you get the house to yourself for 3 days.
I'm so
Yeah,
jealous.
your family goes on vacation more than Ashanti.
Are you guys
Like,
divorced and we don't
watch-
know about this? And you're like splitting time?
No, they're in a hurricane, for God's sake. Watched 2 movies this weekend. I'll give a full review. Watched
great.
Superman, which you've watched.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I watched The Life of Chuck. Very interesting. Bogusch, give us a headline or two real quick.
Your headlines are sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, who protects small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. And again, all things Pearl, his life whole again, because Carson Wentz is once again a working NFL quarterback.
There you go.
The Eagle legend signing in Minnesota yesterday to back up J.J. McCarthy. The Vikings will be Wentz's 6th team in 6 years. That includes the Rams, though, who run a similar offense, so maybe Wentz has less catching up to do right now. Now, to make room for him, Minnesota cut Brett Rippon and traded Sam Howell to the Eagles, Philly needing some insurance for Tanner McKee, who's dealing with a reported broken thumb. He's not expected to go on IR, but may not be healthy enough for week 1.
I mean, I don't want to bring up any conspiracy theories,
Here we
but
go.
Oh, God.
I don't know. Did Roger Goodell call the teams and say, you better not play Kyle McCord? Because he's a 6th-round quarterback, so he should be starting by now, right? Isn't that how it works? No, that's only Shedeur Sanders in
Only
Cleveland.
Shedeur, yes.
Sam Howell, by the way, has only played well against one team in his entire NFL career, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's why they signed him, which is weird.
It's just to eliminate him from being on any other 31 teams.
By the way, just a one-word answer, EJ. Will Carson Wentz be good in Minnesota?
Hell no. That's 2 words. Sorry.
That is the easiest. I knew exactly what you were going to say. All right.
2 homers apiece for Trent Grisham and Jazz Chisholm and the Yankees' 7-2 home win over the Red Sox on Sunday Night Baseball. The Bombers avoiding a 4-game sweep. They keep their half-game lead on the Mariners for the 2nd AL wildcard.
I have an infatuation for Trent Grisham. I don't know what it is.
I think it's the mustache.
Probably.
And Taiwan defeated Nevada 7-0 to win the Little League World Series yesterday in Williamsport. It's the country's first title since '96, but their record 18th overall. It's also the first win for an international squad since 2017.
Drought Busters,
There you go.
2025, the year of the
Here it
Drought
comes.
Busters.
We got more
You
of that
one,
this
Maggie.
morning. Nope. She's got at least 2 this morning.
Hey-o.
We'll get to the other one in a second, but back to you guys for now.
Well, listen, I hate the drought buster narrative that Maggie Gray has been pushing all year long more than
She also
anything.
has no idea that Taiwan just busted this drought.
I'm also, by the way, ecstatic that ESPN is going to get back to their regular programming. Like,
no.
I do not need to see 17 hours of Little League baseball
Not a
anymore.
fan of the Little League. What, do you hate kids?
Oh, dude, I want
Yeah, he
Sports
does.
Center. I want Dan Orlovsky talking about Shedeur. And I can't believe these guys are all on vacation.
You
It's
get
been
that at 10 a.m.
Yeah, you get that with us. We do
no,
it.
but on the weekend, it is nothing but Little League baseball.
Let the little kids have their time. What do you mean?
Oh, yeah, let's exploit the 12-year-olds. Okay,
they only
great.
they only get 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
What's the kids'
2 weeks
NIL
is
deal?
What's that?
What's these kids' NIL deals?
They
Not
should get
not
it.
enough.
They should get some of that.
And
bread.
watch in 5 years, they're going to get NIL deals.
But I saw there was, and Bogues, I know you're a tennis fan. There's outrage that the U.S. Open started a day early on Sunday.
I didn't like it.
What the hell is that
Oh,
about?
of course.
Like, am I-
To find programming other than Little League baseball. That's what it's about.
Oh man, because I was sitting at home. My brother's like, "Oh, U.S. Open." I'm like, "Yeah, it starts tomorrow, right?" He said, "No, it's on now." Here's Shelton. I'm like, "What? This is weird."
Yeah, I mean, golf was good yesterday. All right, we got to get into the Cowboys because it's not all about Cleveland people. It's also about Micah Parsons and the Cowboys. Is this thing going to work? That's next. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, back on Maggie and Perloff. EJ Stewart sitting in for Maggie Gray today. So we had some drama in Dallas. Nothing new here. It's funny. We're talking about the Cleveland Browns, and Kenny in Dallas nailed it. The Browns are acting like the Cowboys because the Cowboys always create drama, and they did it this weekend. Really, Micah Parsons did it. You know, it's a preseason game. He's not dressed. He was eating some nachos and lying on a training table, and this did not go over well, EJ.
Surprise, surprise, that doesn't go over well.
Yeah. So we're less than 2 weeks away from the season, and Micah Parsons And the Cowboys have not gotten on the same page about his contract. So everyone is speculating. The options to me seem like A, Cowboys get the deal done, extend him, make him the highest paid defensive player in the league, probably the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. The other option is they just try to hold on to him, having him be unhappy because they do have some control contract-wise. Or option 3, which is being raised now, just people are nibbling around it, trade him. That would be something. Oh, my God. It'd be like Khalil Mack getting traded from the Raiders to the Bears. I don't think that happens. I think that Jerry Jones always takes us to the last minute. I think they're going to get on the same page. And I think all the antics from Micah Parsons, while at the time they seem like this is bad, it seems like him and his agent are digging in, I still think there is time for resolution. What do you think, EJ?
I mean, is there time for resolution? Yes, because money always talks. I do get the feeling, though, that this is one of those Jerry messed with the wrong one type situations. Micah Parsons is not CeeDee Lamb. Micah Parsons is not Dak Prescott. And while those guys were good soldiers and just went through training camp and didn't cause many issues, the thought that you could handle those Micah Parsons the same way you handled those guys was insane. And now they're feeling the downside of that because
Wait, why?
Now,
Explain why.
Well, those guys were more willing to be the quote-unquote good soldier. They were going through a contract negotiation, whether it was CeeDee Lamb holding out but not making a lot of noise, not making trade requests, or Dak Prescott being there and just saying, hey, I'm just going to go do my thing and hope the contract comes through. Those guys didn't cause issues. Those guys didn't make more headaches and more headlines for the Cowboys. We know who Micah Parsons is. There was no way he was going to accept Jerry disrespecting his agent, respect Jerry Jones talking about the fact that he gets injured and maybe we shouldn't pay him because he's a guy that can get hurt. He wasn't going to take that line down. Those other guys, I don't know if they're less emotional or less, of a personality. They were willing to take Jerry saying weird things and just taking it stride. Micah Parsons was never going to do that. So now here you are with Micah Parsons eating nachos, laying on a table, causing the distraction so much so that Brian Schottenheimer has to say, listen, I'm going to have to talk to Micah Parsons. I don't know. What is he going to say? Like, if I'm Micah Parsons, I'm like, show me the money. What are you talking to me about? Like, I'm doing this. You know why this is happening. I've already made a trade request, so there's nothing to talk about. So money talks. So I think they get it done, but I'm not also, leaving out the possibility that this does end in some kind of divorce like Adam Schefter said, because, again, I think Jerry messed with the wrong one, and Micah Parsons seems legitimately unhappy with how Jerry Jones has handled this negotiation.
Yeah,
it feels personal.
I do agree with that. It's totally personal. But Myles Garrett wanted out of Cleveland, said, I don't want to play here. I want a chance to win a Super Bowl. Then he got a $40 million per year contract, and now he's Mr. Cleveland. He can't. Honestly, the guy wakes up, gets out of bed, can't get to the facility fast enough in his car. So, I mean, it's Cleveland. You're allowed to make jokes about the Browns. No, speeding is not funny. But Micah Parsons, you're right. He is a personality and all that stuff. But I don't know why this is a good thing for either Micah or the team. I have no problem lying on the trading table. Apparently, he was only doing it for a minute. I don't know why that's a problem with anybody. And I have no problem with the nachos.
That image is just so. It just looks bad. It's not. The actual offense, quote unquote, is not that bad. But the image that is now, a picture says 1,000 words. That's the problem. Is that picture's been circled around now, millions of times. People have seen it.
Well, Micah went on social media and said, listen, I appreciate there was a reporter who said he was only lying on it for a few moments.
Yeah.
That he appreciated that they didn't make that narrative a bigger deal than it could have been because he doesn't want to respect the players who are actually playing. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like it's a different character than the two earlier negotiations you mentioned. But those negotiations were kind of a mess from a financial standpoint. They ended up paying Dak Prescott $60 million. That was not great. And they ended up paying CD, the second highest paid wide receiver. I feel like the Cowboys, the thing that they usually mess up is they overpay. And I think that's probably going to happen here too. I watched the Cowboys documentary, did a little piece on it, and I watched it really carefully. Yep. There's a scene at the end that cracks me up. Jerry and Steven, the Joneses, are sitting there, and they're bragging about, we just spent $375 million on Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, and we are all in, and we're going to win the Super Bowl. That was not a good thing that you spent all that money. It's called cap management, guys. You shouldn't be bragging. It feels like Jerry is lately clueless on how to manage the cap. And you know what?
Kidding me?
Everyone says that Jerry Jones has not won a Super Bowl since 1995 because Jimmy left. That's the narrative, right?
Yep.
When did the salary cap come in? 1994.
Ooh.
The cap is what killed Jerry, and you can see it playing out here. So antics aside, they have a real issue about they do not handle the cap well.
That's your Cowboy Quickie.
The thing is, Jerry probably loves all this attention. He's on a media tour for, I think, the documentary. I can't even tell what he's promoting, and he is adding fuel to the fire.
He thinks that this is good for his brand and good for the Cowboys. It can't be good for winning. Micah Parsons not doing training camp, not doing anything. Can't be good for the Cowboys' chances in week 1 or him staying healthy throughout the season.
Yeah, I mean, there are probably a lot of teams that wouldn't mind. Would you give up 2 first round? Well, let's get into that later. What would you give up for Micah Parsons? Because Jerry wasn't wrong. He is on the smaller side. Also, we got to get into the Bears. Caleb Williams, hot and cold this preseason. Next, Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. Maggie is on vacation. She will not tell anyone here except for me where she is, but I know. It's a long-standing tradition. She doesn't want Mandy to know where she is. But EJ
I don't
Stewart,
have an idea.
EJ Stewart's sitting in the big chair. Wait, Mandy, do you really not know where Maggie is?
No clue.
Yeah, this goes back to a misunderstanding from a long time ago where Manny asked Maggie where she was going on vacation. She said, I'm not telling you. She meant that she doesn't want to tell the public where she's going, which, again, I think is probably a little much.
That's understandable.
Yeah. But she wouldn't tell. She said, of course I would tell Manny, but now she won't tell her just because it's funny. Sorry, bud.
I do believe she's in Sao Paulo.
Sure.
I think so.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
All right, so we started talking about Shedeur Sanders, and then we got to Micah Parsons. I got to tell you, if you look at the box score preseason week 3, one guy who looked okay was Bears quarterback Caleb Williams, 11 for 15, 113 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. And I saw a tweet that his PFF grade was pretty good for the preseason, and his passer rating is way up. Last preseason, he struggled. This one, his passer rating is really good. I think it's 122. Or something crazy. The issue is when you actually watch them play. So if you watch the Bears play the Chiefs, first of all, Patrick Mahomes looks amazing, but that's not
good
the
luck.
point.
Good luck the rest of the NFL.
Caleb Williams, to me, still looks a bit indecisive in that offense. First couple drives, he would drop back, and then he would move around a lot. Sometimes he'd find something, sometimes he wouldn't. When Caleb Williams is on schedule and has an open guy, his arm is outstanding. The talent is there. But I think the problem going back to USC is sometimes he's one of those guys, reminds me maybe like a Daniel Jones a little bit, one of those guys who has trouble letting it rip at times.
Yeah.
Or maybe because he doesn't know where he's going. I'm not sure about that. He's learning a new offense. But it just seems like Caleb Williams was a bit hesitant to me.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I wasn't all that impressed with this last game I just watched against the Chiefs. I mean, they did end up scoring a touchdown later. They got a field goal, then a touchdown to kind of make it more respectable in that first half. But they went down 17-0. And it wasn't just all Caleb. Like, a lot of those issues that Ben Johnson had been talking about that maybe we didn't really see in the preseason kind of reared its ugly head. You started seeing the miscues, the false starts, the procedural penalties. And then you mentioned what Caleb Williams was doing, which was a lot of holding the ball. It wasn't necessarily this on-time kind of offense. And the great thing about watching Ben Johnson in Detroit is what that offense is supposed to look like. And I didn't really feel like we saw what that was supposed to be really until a lot of the Chiefs starters came out and they kind of finished the second half. And that's when Caleb started to look really good. But I think that's going to be a big question with him is, will he be able to play within the Ben Johnson offense, or will he want to do what he did at USC, which is freestyle, hold the ball, look for the big play? Because that's just not this offense.
Let's hear from new Bears coach Ben Johnson on the first-team offensive performance.
It is disappointing to me offensively for sure, because I thought that we'd kind of worked our way out of that. I'm still learning this group as well.
Yeah, I mean, my question is this normal growing pains of a new offense? Ben Johnson had been in Detroit for a while, and that offense was running like a machine. And Jared Goff seemed like he knew exactly where he wanted to go almost every time he dropped back. So is it growing pains, or as you mentioned, I mentioned, is it Caleb Williams? His nature is to extend plays until there's a big play available. Here's the key with a Ben Johnson offense. He wants to run the ball like crazy.
Exactly.
In Detroit, he used Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Does he have that kind of running attack here? So I think that would help Caleb big time, but he's got to get in good down and distance positions. I think it's very, very important. I think if he gets into a spot where you can't really rush the passer because it's short yardage, he's going to kill people. His arm is amazing. It's just as good as Goff's, and I really respect Goff's arm. So I think Caleb Williams is it's really interesting. I think it's teetering between being disappointing and good. Everyone talks about the division being tough, EJ, but what are your expectations for Caleb and the Bears this year?
I have real tempered expectations. Last season, I jumped the gun before they drafted Caleb Williams. That I think the Bears are going to make the playoffs because I looked at the roster, I looked at the talent, and I thought that despite Eberflus, that this would be them being able to overcome maybe his issues as a head coach and make the playoffs, and they were obviously not even close last year. And in watching them this preseason rather, what I'm seeing to me is this is going to be a Rome is not built in a day kind of thing. I think
Rome Odunze is not built in a day.
he could be because
he had a great touchdown. He's a Bears second-year receiver, by the way.
Built. He looks bigger, stronger, faster than he did last year.
I'm a super fan of Rome Odunze.
Yeah, but even watching him last season, I don't know. He just was kind of meh.
Yeah.
Watching him yesterday, or when I watched the game yesterday, he looked different to me. I was like, okay, this guy looks like a real player. So I think that Bears fans should be excited about him. But I think overall, I think the offense, there's going to be a lot of growing pains. There's going to be some struggles. So I think this is one of those things where Caleb Williams, we're not going to get a real answer until year 3. I think we're going to go into year 3 being like, all right, this is it. Offensive line's going to be more improved. You got another year under Ben Johnson. This is the year we're going to see that growth. I think this is in some ways a little bit of that Trevor Lawrence situation in Jacksonville.
Well, that was year 2 that he hit, though.
No,
he
but
had a good year 2.
Yeah, but I think just the fact that the first year was just so bad that you had to throw it out. And I think now you are kind of starting from scratch. Will Caleb be better this year? Sure. I don't think he'll be as good as Trevor Lawrence was year 2. But I just think you're going to have to wait a lot more time to see if this is actually going to work out. I don't think this is going to be a thing where he gets to Ben Johnson and immediately this thing's going to hit. It may be something where second half of the season. It could be a deal where second half of the year, then you start to see them turn the corner. They start to figure it out a little bit. But again, just hearing the stuff you're hearing in training camp and then me watching the Chiefs game over the weekend, I didn't see an offense that was ready to go out there and just light it up.
Yeah, that should go well, that we have to wait till year 3 for Caleb Williams because in NFL Nation, we're so patient.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be bad. And by the way, you look at the other number 1 overall picks, you don't usually get till year 3 that easily. We look at, obviously, Bryce Young played better last year.
Yep.
He'd be gone in Carolina toward the end of the year. Trevor Lawrence hit in year 2. Burrow went to the Super Bowl in year 2. Kyler Murray hit immediately. Baker Mayfield, I have to look back. I think he started to figure it out in year 2. Goff was a number 1 overall pick. He was good in year 2, got the Super Bowl in year 3. So generally, when you're number 1, or even if you're top 5, you're supposed to know by year 2. Aren't you, EJ?
Well, I think for him, because you're naming a lot of guys that a lot of those guys never became superstars. I guess to me, I'm thinking about him looking like a superstar quarterback. I think a lot of those guys you're mentioning look good. Goff looked good, Kyle looked good, but we didn't look at them and say, okay, this guy is the next coming. We didn't know that yet still. It was year 3 for some of those guys. We said, okay, this guy is going to be and some of those guys actually regressed, right? Baker ended up regressing and Goff ended up regressing. So, I have Caleb Williams in terms of the bar being as high as possible. You're telling me you're a generational quarterback, then that's the bar I'm setting. So to me, it's when do I see Caleb Williams look generational? Is it going to be this season? Based on what I'm seeing, I can't say that. I haven't seen it in preseason. I don't think we're hearing it from Ben Johnson. He's not telling you I have a generational quarterback. So that's where I have to adjust my expectations and say, okay, it's probably not going to be this year. Does he have the talent where he's earned my patience? For me, yes, because I think he does have the arm talent. I think he does have the natural ability. But I think for the fans out there, if they're expecting him to throw 4,500 yards this year and win 12 games, that would be what generational looks like. I think you're going to be sorely mistaken and sorely disappointed in Caleb Williams.
Wait a second. If you're talking about generational, if I gave you Jared Goff's career, would that be enough to satisfy Bears fans with Caleb Williams?
Satisfy, yes. Would they be over the moon and excited and feel like, oh my God, I think they would feel like, oh, I thought we were getting a little more. I think they thought they were getting Patrick Mahomes, Dan Marino, Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning. That's what they thought they were getting when they drafted him number 1. Jared Goff is very good, but he's, remember, not on the team that drafted him. They traded him. So I think if he has Jared Goff's career, you say, okay, he's good. He's probably not what we thought he was going to be. I think that would be somewhat of a disappointment. Now, if he wins as much as Jared Goff has, I think that would save him a lot. Because you say, listen, he's a winning quarterback. We're going deep in the playoffs. So they could probably, justify that. But if that's all he becomes is Jared Goff, that's not going to come close to the generational expectations we had on him.
It's funny because Goff's had, ironically, a pretty good career. If Goff wins a Super Bowl in Detroit, he's actually getting to the Hall of Fame even. It's a long. He's a long way from doing that. It's funny. A lot of people are fading the Lions. I read a story where they are the most bet against to make the playoffs team in the entire NFL. But I've already lowered my expectations for Caleb Williams. Like I'm not talking about him with Patrick Mahomes. Honestly, like Jaden Daniels was so much better last year that now Caleb Williams is just in the mix with other young quarterbacks who could be really good. So for him to break into that, there's top 4 in the NFL. There's Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. Like Caleb does, to me, for him to hit, he does not necessarily have to be one of those. If he's as good as the next level, Stafford, Hurts, Dak Prescott, I think you're Chicago. EJ, they've never had a 4,000-yard passer. You're not going to get Mahomes. I think you would have to be happy with a Jared Goff-like production.
I mean,
I know. That sounds weird.
It's just you ever told me Dak Prescott, I'm like, oh man, that's if you're a Bears fan and if you told a Bears fan if they drafted Caleb Williams, you know how excited Bears fans were, and then somebody from the future, 15 years later, just found a time machine, went back in time, and said, all right, Bears fans, I have the results. The numbers are in front of me. I got the paperwork. It turns out that Caleb Williams' career is kind of like Dak Prescott. I think those fans would throw up. They already were hungover probably from all the drinking they were doing. They might be throwing up anyway, but now they'd be throwing up out of just pure disgust because they were like, wait a minute, this was supposed to be our franchise savior. You were telling me he's only Dak Prescott?
Dak Prescott is the highest paid player in the entire NFL.
And it's a mistake.
He was number 2 in MVP voting.
And that was also a mistake. Him being that high in MVP voting was a mistake.
No, he was good that year. It's a regular season award. He's good in the regular season.
I mean, you say that, but then playoffs come and we see what happens.
I know, but it's not a playoff award.
I mean, him being as high, the highest paid, or one of the highest paid players in the NFL is a mistake. I think people look at him as an underachiever because of that. If he had not been the highest paid guy, I think that we would not look at him as an underachiever. But that's where he's at. So if that's Caleb's career, man, that's disappointing.
I think we should put out a poll. Now, I don't know which quarterback we're going to put Caleb against. If Caleb Williams' career was as good as Jared Goff's, would the Bears be happy? Yes or no? Or you could do Dak Prescott. But let's do Jared Goff because the team's won a little more.
Goff is probably better.
They were both number 1 overalls. They're both interesting questions. But let's put that poll up. I think you're right. People are going to say no. But when you think about it, I mean, what was the best offense in the league? Well, second best offense in the league last year behind Baltimore. It's Detroit. Like, Jared Goff can win you games, but I think there's this idea that Caleb has to be spectacular. And I think it's even in his head. And he's sort of doing the Mahomes act a little bit. Be honest, he should be more like Jared Goff. Run Ben Johnson's offense.
I know, yeah. I do agree with that. I think if he did actually really believe in the offense, and I think he eventually will get there. But if he did believe in the offense, I think that he would, the Bears would win a lot of football games. I think the problem, though, is when you think about Detroit, inside Detroit, we hear the Jared Goff chants. You get all the excitement about him.
Jared Goff.
Exactly. But I think outside of Detroit, and I think in the national landscape, I still sense a hint of disrespect for what Jared Goff is doing. I still feel like it's, look at Jahmyr Gibbs. Look at the running game. Look at the coaching staff. Look at Amon-Ra St. Brown. Look at LaPorta. It feels like the quarterback is just, he's the guy that if he's accurate and just does his job, he'll win. And what happened when they lost, when he had mistakes, then nobody pointed to those other guys and said, they didn't play well. It was that guy didn't do his job in Jared Goff, and that's why they lost. I don't know if Caleb Williams wants that career. I think Caleb Williams wants to be seen as the reason his team is winning. He wants to be seen as the reason why the Bears get out of this futility. He wants to be that Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
And it's sad to say that Jaden Daniels, a guy who's a peer, but a guy who went to a situation and changed life for the entire team, and you look at the organization now and say they have a chance to win because they have that guy. People just don't say that about Jared Goff, whether that's fair or unfair.
Here's an interesting note from the YouTube chat, Infinity Sports Radio Network YouTube channel. California native says, Bears fans want a QB that can be clutch in the postseason because the two quarterbacks we're comparing him to, Jared Goff and Dak Prescott, specifically Prescott, have not been clutch in the postseason. We had this great debate last week. Would the Bears take 8-9 and a 4,500-yard season from Caleb Williams, or would they rather be 11-6 and have Caleb at 3,500 yards? And you and I were on the same lockstep.
Lockstep.
They need to see that Caleb Williams is elite because we've seen the Bears have double-digit win seasons where it was mostly special teams and defense.
Yep.
And it's not sustainable. You need a quarterback to sustain. And I think you're absolutely right. They do expect him to be a generational guy who's going to give you 10 years of playoff success and the highest level. But I've already lowered my expectations a little bit. I want to hear from you, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Does Caleb Williams have to be generational to be a success for Chicago? All right, EJ. College football season, it's underway, baby. Ooh. It might, the big game was in Ireland. That fully delivered. But we have coming up at least one, I don't want to say game of the century, game of the decade, game of this year at least. It is going to be amazing. I can't believe we get to see Ohio State and Texas. We're going to break down the game next, right here, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, back on Maggie and Perloff show. Maggie out today. EJ is filling in. So there was a little bit of quarterback movement this weekend. A little hard to figure out, but Minnesota signs Carson Wentz, trades Sam Howell to the Eagles. So it looks like Carson Wentz will be backing up J.J. McCarthy, and they love their rookie Max Brosmer from University of Minnesota as well, so we'll see where that goes. But Carson Wentz, to me, might be the most confusing player in the history of the NFL. So I don't understand. We all saw him, his second year in Philadelphia, just catches lightning. Basically leads a team that eventually becomes the Eagles' first Super Bowl winning team. He's awesome. There's no doubt about it. Has all the talent in the world. That year he threw 33 touchdowns and 7 picks in just 13 games. Like, this guy is the guy. 3 years later, he's gone. Jalen Hurts is a starting quarterback. So to me, Carson Wentz has always had the talent. There was something went wrong in the locker room. There was a lot of reporting on that. He apparently went into the weight room and forced everyone to listen to country or something. I don't even know. But Carson Wentz has problems, to me, always seemed like team problems, leadership, questions like that. But as his career has unfolded, he's been on 5 different teams in 5 years. Philly, Colts, Commanders, Rams, last year the Chiefs. Now he's on his 6th team, the Minnesota Vikings. What's the problem, EJ? It's not talent. Something else is going. Or do you think it is talent? Like, is he just not a good quarterback?
I'll be honest. I think you're kind of underselling his play being part of this issue, because we know in the NFL, like, as bad as your character can be, if you can play, people will overlook things.
Right.
And he has not been the same player since he was on that MVP track in his second year when the Eagles eventually ended up winning a Super Bowl, but they obviously, he got hurt and when Foles came in.
When does that happen? Like, why would that happen? It kind of, to me, a guy who reminds me a little bit of, who is a way higher level, Cam Newton. Cam Newton was an MVP level player, and then he just fell apart, I think partly because of injuries. Why would Wentz be so talented? And I hate to say it, he was pretty talented in Indianapolis that one year. He threw 27 touchdowns, 7 picks, and then sort of imploded at the very end. But he showed some talent.
I think he buried the lead of how that Indianapolis thing went. Like, that's a talented team, and they were playing really well.
But through week 13, he was an MVP candidate. He was on the list of MVP watch. And then the last month of the season, he played poorly.
Well, yeah, and he played terrible, and he was the reason why they did not make the playoffs. They lost to a Jaguar team at the end of the year that had, like, I think 1 win. Like, it was one of the worst collapses you could have for an NFL team that looked like a lock to make the playoffs, and he was the reason. He just hasn't played good enough to overcome also the football character concerns that this guy has. It just feels like the NFL decided that he is not fit to be a quarterback number 1 on your team. And if you're going to bring him in as a number 2, I think there's a lot of questions you have to answer. If this guy's played for a long period of time, do you feel like he can hold up physically, number one, which has been an issue for him in the past, health. Number two, is it the kind of guy that people will believe in and buy into, and will he be able to get out of the way of kind of making the mistakes that sometimes will plague a guy coming in the back of role, trying to maybe do too much or not allowing the other guys to just make plays. And Wentz has had those issues as well. So I think Wentz's career, he hasn't been good enough, I think, for him to overcome what people have, which are serious character concerns. It's kind of unclear what they are, but it's clear that they're there because when people will ask, why isn't Carson Wentz in the NFL? It says, yeah, well, not really a leader. Don't really know if the team trusts him. And that for that reason, like, I can't be surprised that he's out of a job all the time. And then he's bouncing around team to team. Like you asked me last hour, is this thing with the Vikings going to work? I hate that he's there. I think this is the worst spot for him to be honest. Because,
why?
Well, number one, I don't think that J.J. McCarthy is going to learn anything from this guy. I know he has a great coaching staff, so maybe he should only listen to them. But in terms of preparing, in terms of knowing how to play, preparing big games, just, again, overall football character, this is one of the worst mentors you can give him. This is a guy that teams hate. Teammates have hated. And this is the guy that's supposed to be your OG, your vet. I don't think that that's a good sign. So I don't know why they brought this guy in.
Well,
and to me, if he has to actually play, I think the Vikings are doomed to have the same end of the season that they always have, which is maybe it looks good for a while, but in the biggest moment, this quarterback is going to choke because that's what he's done his entire career. So for the Vikings, I'm like, what is the upside here? I don't get it at all.
Well, the guy they traded, Sam Howell, was 24 years old. I don't think that anybody was learning anything from him. So what that doesn't mean anything.
But he's young. But he's younger. There's an idea that maybe he could get better, and this is probably the best coaching staff that he has had. So to me, I thought Sam Howell had way more upside than a Carson Wentz. I'd rather see if I could find something in a Sam Howell like they did with Sam Darnold than I would a guy who the NFL has already given up on.
I gotta tell you, I'm on the exact opposite page from you.
I'm not surprised. You had a Carson Wentz poster here for months. Everyone in the building wanted to rip it apart. We had to, do charity work in order to get it out of here.
I'm not necessarily a Carson Wentz guy. I think he's talented. Here's the thing. Kevin O'Connell is an amazing quarterback coach. Like, he's had success with lots of guys. I think if he has Wentz in there, he could turn around Wentz. And also this quarterback, they gave up on Geno Smith, and I watched Geno Smith in the preseason. That dude's arm is elite. Like, they gave up on him. Like, the NFL is not perfect at this game, and we haven't really seen Carson. So Carson Wentz played really well in Indianapolis for 3/4 of the season. Then he went to Washington. It was terrible. Guess what? That team was terrible. There's no way anybody, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, nobody was going to be good on that team. Then he was a backup with the Rams. Everyone seemed to like him there. Got in for one game. I think he beat Sam Darnold in the Week 18. Then last year, he was with Andy Reid, and the Chiefs didn't really play. Played in the final week of the season. If you watch that game, they didn't let him throw the ball once. They're like, we just want to get off the field. So we just handed it off 3 times in a row every single time. Okay. They lost 38-0. Carson did nothing. Like, Carson wasn't – I don't even think he barely threw a pass, or he was 12 for 19. Yeah. Like, they weren't even trying. So that wasn't on him at all. So we haven't really seen him be bad, except for that 1 year in Washington and his last year in Philly.
His last year in Philly was terrible.
Yeah,
and
but
you keep glossing over that Indy season. Like, last time I checked, it's a 16 or 17 game season. At that point, it was a 17 game season. It might have been the first one we had.
Right.
Like, yeah, that counts. Like,
well,
the idea that he was great for most of the season, so it doesn't matter. It's like, no. When the teams start to understand offenses and understand what you're doing and making adjustments, that is part of being a great player. That is part of completing an entire season. And
that's why he's a backup. That's why he's not starting in the NFL. I'm well aware of that.
Right. So to me, though, like, I think that this idea that he's played great for most of his career and there's just been these few blips. There were a lot of years he was in Philly after that. It wasn't like, he played that 1 year and then he got hurt and then we just didn't see him again until the last year. He played all those years before, and the Philly offense that looked like this juggernaut before then became very mid. His numbers seemed empty. Again, there was zero leadership. Those were teams that I think people thought were talented that underachieved, and he was the main reason why. Also, like I mentioned again, the guy is injury prone.
Well, to be fair, I think a lot of that was what happened in Philly was Doug Peterson related too. But the thing about Carson Wentz is he has a big arm and he can move. Who's he remind you of? To me, he reminds me a lot of another 6'5" quarterback with reddish hair who can move. Like, why can't he be Sam Darnold?
I was going to say Andy
And
Dalton.
by the way, did you and EJ, you're talking pretty definitively about Carson Wentz. Did you see Sam Darnold throwing 35 touchdowns last year for the Vikings?
I did not.
Yeah. So I think that the NFL, like, quarterbacks are funny. I mean, I think there are some guys who in different situations can be abandoned and left on the side of the road who really have talent and then can come back in the right coach in the right situation. And Minnesota is the right coach, and it is by far the right situation. If we could get indoor, throw it to Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson and everybody, all that talent in Minnesota, like who's fixed their O-line to some extent, then you know what? I would not be shocked if he came in there and was effective in a short-term situation.
But you know what the difference is between Sam Darnold and Carson Wentz is, regardless of how I have felt about Sam Darnold or any other person has felt about Sam Darnold, no one ever questioned his leadership. No one ever questioned his football character. They may have said, listen, he's just not getting NFL offenses or NFL defenses the way he should. Like, they questioned maybe if he was a good football player, but they never questioned whether or not if you brought him into a locker room that he would be a problem.
Yeah, but is Carson at 32, after being a backup for a few years, is Carson Wentz still going to be a problem? Like, what? He's a backup. What's he going to do? He can't. Is he going to change the music again? Like, what's the fear
But
here?
it's just like what we said with the Shedeur Sanders conversation in the beginning. If we got to take the cue from the NFL. So if the NFL is not, no teams want to sign him. They're taking forever to bring him in. They're kind of bringing him in as like a last resort situation. The NFL is telling you that these are the only circumstances you want this guy around. Then I have to take my cues from the NFL and say, well, then clearly there must be some issue, because otherwise, why wouldn't he be on the NFL team? Because I agree with that. I don't think he should be a guy that's out of an NFL job, but there's got to be something else there. So if the rest of the league is putting out the word, hey, listen, I know the stats look okay, and I know that he's had flashes of brilliance, but we don't want him, I got to say, well, clearly there's something there. So even at 32, and as a backup, clearly there are a lot of teams that were concerned, because I could go through the litany of NFL teams that need backup quarterbacks that didn't look at this guy.
Yeah, it is weird, but he has one thing I'll tell you about him. He's gone from Sean McVay to Andy Reid to Kevin O'Connell. Those are three men that I trust completely in QB evaluations. Now, the fact that Andy Reid didn't want to keep him says something to me too. So we'll see. I mean, listen, it's a backup quarterback. It's funny we're debating.
And this is going to be interesting too, because he went to the Rams with Matthew Stafford and then the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. Like, he could not mess up those situations.
He's not going to mess up this situation. This is Kevin O'Connell has so many good vibes around Brian Flores. They have a strong coaching staff. I
agree with that.
Yeah, and also too, J.J. McCarthy seems like he's well. Like Justin Jefferson's a big leader. There's no way Carson Wentz is not going to go in and get signed 2 weeks before the season and screw up this chemistry. I don't think there's any downside here. And Sam Howell has not been effective. Sam Howell has not been good in the NFL.
I think he's shown flashes that he could play a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think he's been a complete zero.
Not at all.
Carson Wentz has had better moments and he's had better seasons than Sam Howell, but Sam Howell seemed like the perfect kind of backup to have to me. I was surprised that they made this move. And like I said, if you're telling me a guy that has character concerns and I want him to be the vet for my basically rookie quarterback that's making his first NFL debut, I don't love that mix.
Well, I just think, honestly, I think Howell's too young. Like, some of the advanced stats on Howell are terrible. I think he'll honestly feel more comfortable. Carson Wentz looks like Sam Darnold from last year. All right, let's go to headlines. Andrew Bogusch, what do you got?
Guys, I got two more droughts that we didn't know needed to be busted, getting busted yesterday. We've already mentioned Taiwan snapping its 28-year drought of the Little League World Series. We also had Tommy Fleetwood finally winning a PGA Tour event.
The agonizing wait is over. Fleetwood, finally, for everything, the FedEx Cup title.
That's Dan Hicks on NBC. Fleetwood a 3-shot win at the Tour Championship, clinching the FedEx Cup and its $10 million purse. This is Fleetwood's first ever PGA win after 6 runner-ups.
I'm proud of what I've done before. Whether I've won or not, I've still been proud of my career and where I've been so far, knowing that I still have a long way to go and a lot to learn. And this doesn't change that, really. This is just hopefully one win, the first of many to come.
Now, I did confirm via text that Maggie is taking credit for Fleetwood, even though none of us were losing sleep over this drought.
Well, it's funny. It's weird about his voice. He's from Delaware. He's American. No,
I was like, I definitely have Wikipedia up right now, and that does not say anything about Delaware.
It's from Delaware. It's from Wilmington.
Yeah,
did I find the wrong Fleetwood on Wikipedia?
Very British. Okay, this gets into this drought buster issue. drought implies that you won one once and then you had to wait a long time to get another one. Now, this doesn't really, that's not the case.
It's not. This is his first win.
Yeah, the first wins count as drought busters. We've been debating this all year long.
So we're not going to give her the Bills if and when they win.
He's also won like 7 times on the European Tour. So he has professional victories. He has not won a PGA Tour event, and he keeps trying to win and giving them away, which is where yesterday's almost universal excitement over him winning.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
And I want to talk about that part because I'll be the Perloff here in this moment. Like, when did we all care about this guy winning a PGA win? Like, it felt like that. This took over my timeline in a way that I thought this guy won a major. I was like, oh my God, is there a major this week that I didn't know about? And it was like, no, he just got his first PGA win. And I was just like, well,
he did win $10 million. I mean, it's a major non-major.
It was a FedEx Cup.
It was the final. It was their championship.
Well, I mean, the thing about it, Tommy Fleetwood's been close to majors too. That's been a big deal.
He's a third place finisher.
Yeah. Like he's been knocking on the door of a major. So I see what EJ's saying. Like, if Maggie at the end of the year looks back on this year and says this is the year of the drought buster and tries to bring up the Little League World Series winner and Tommy Fleetwood winning this tournament, I won't accept it.
You can't give her that.
You can't give her that. If he wins a major,
you can't give her any of them except Rory.
Yeah, I know.
Rory,
right.
Yeah, Rory's a fair one.
Hey, don't forget Florida.
Oh, yes, Florida basketball.
Nope.
That's a tricky one.
What's the one that cost her? It was the hockey.
Yeah, she needed Canada to win a cup, and
she needed Edmonton to beat Florida.
Yes.
That didn't happen.
Yeah, and now what does she need in baseball? Who's the big drought?
The Yankees.
I mean,
the Cubs since 2009.
The Cubs won already.
I mean, honestly, I look at the New York teams. There are a lot of teams that haven't won that I think. I mean, the Padres are the big team I think about that haven't won.
Well, obviously,
they're going to be in it. But again, will that count? If the Padres win a World Series.
No.
Does that? I don't know if it does.
No, because we don't universally care about it. Not to be rude, like we're not pining for that. We're not pining for a Padres win. We're not pining for a Mariners win.
Right, exactly.
The Mariners would be a big deal. No,
would they?
How about the Brewers and the Tigers and the Blue Jays? Those are all droughts.
Those are droughts. Yeah, if those
are pretty good.
If those teams win,
Tigers are a historical franchise.
Yeah, and I think the Blue Jays, like their last title was iconic.
93, right?
Yeah, and it was iconic. Like we remember it. Oh yes.
Oh yeah, I know.
I'm not sure. I wasn't around. Who was it?
Mitch Williams, baby.
Don't get me started. Yeah, I mean, all right. So here's the rule: Padres, since they haven't won, they're not breaking a drought. They're a first timer. The Tigers, Brewers, and Blue Jays all the Brewers haven't won either.
No, they have not won.
So so the Tigers and the Blue Jays work.
Blue Jays.
Maggie's got to make a decision.
The
here.
Mets.
Yeah,
Mets. That's
a long time.
Yeah.
I thought you all given up on the Mets.
I mean, I have, just in terms of who could bust a drought. 39
years.
It's
like the NFL graphic of in the hunt, right?
Yeah.
The Mets are there because they're mathematically still there.
She's tried, and I've heard her say this with the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with it.
Yeah, 09, of course. That's over a decade ago now.
Well, we just said the Tigers was what? What was the Tigers? 83 or something?
Yeah, but it's the Yankees though.
No, the drought's got to start with a 19. The last year you won has to end with a 19.
No, because the Yankees have an advantage that other teams don't.
Right.
At least they should, which is their payroll. So to me, that's like if Alabama football didn't win in 15 years. You'd say that was a drought.
Right.
Or if the Lakers didn't win in 15 years, you say that was a drought.
Also, there's a relevancy thing. Like Florida basketball winning the title did not break a drought because nobody cares about Florida basketball. People care about DJ Lagway and the college football team. Right. I'm sorry. I mean, even in Gainesville, they would admit it. Like Florida basketball is not top of mind. Yankees kind of are. Is that a big factor?
The more people care, the less years you have to have for the drought to be a drought.
But on the flip side of that, though, is like 3/4 of baseball teams would trade with the Yankees to have a drought since 2009.
100%.
Yeah.
So like, is it really a drought?
Bigger issue, though. We all have to work with Maggie Gray every day. You know how obnoxious I've been since the Eagles won the Super Bowl?
Unbearable.
Can you imagine if the year of the drought actually came through? I mean, it would be tough to deal with her then.
She's tough to deal with now when it's not even a thing still.
Yeah, it's not a thing. It's not going to happen, by the way. I think it's cooked. Because we're entering September soon. And she has Fleetwood, Chinese Taipei, Taiwan, and Lily, and Florida basketball.
This is like an FCS list.
Yeah, this thing is over. I don't think there's anything she could do to match this. Even if she gets one of these droughts,
champions. Yeah, it's like saying North Dakota State's the best football team in America.
I feel like even if she gets one of these droughts in Major League Baseball, I still wouldn't think it's the year of the drought. You can't have one major moment and say, well, this was the year of this thing happening.
Okay. She's going to try and make it go into 2026, too. What about, I'm a little worried about Texas football, 2003 or something. Penn State football, it's been a long time.
86.
She could use college football. She could use the Bills. She's got a lot of ammunition.
But we just said that she can't use the Bills because the Bills haven't won a title.
They haven't won a title.
She could use
the Bills. But if the Bills make this,
she could use the Cowboys.
She could definitely use the Cowboys.
Jeez. Yeah, you might as well mention the Mets again. We're talking about the Cowboys. The Mets have a better chance to win in the World Series than the Cowboys winning a Super Bowl.
Fair. Ooh. All right, Bogusch, any more headlines?
The Yankees in a drought against the Red Sox.
Not
8
anymore.
straight losses to their enemies, including the first 3 games of their weekend series in the Bronx. But the Bombers finally won again last night, 7-2. Trent Grisham, Jazz Chisholm, each going deep twice.
I love that expendable player.
Now back to Cleveland, where Kevin Stefanski was asked directly yesterday about the narrative that they are sabotaging Shedeur Sanders' development.
I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better. And that's what we'll stay committed to, and that's what's important to me.
Stefanski is not yet setting his depth chart after Joe Flacco. They expect Kenny Pickett and his hamstring to be basically healthy for week 1, but maybe Shedeur or Dylan Gabriel is the backup in week 1.
Bogusch, you can't just throw that in with the headlines. That's like saying, I don't know, maybe Donald Trump will step down and somebody that's the biggest headline in the world, and you're just treating it as an afterthought. You just said maybe Shedeur will get the backup job. Haven't you been following sports?
The Browns' backup job?
That is the biggest story in all of sports by tenfold, according to my internet feed.
The last time you were out, that's the only thing Maggie wanted, and she was heartbroken when he heard his oblique that he couldn't win the backup job by default.
That's how we started the show.
I know.
Since when does the backup job mean so much? It's the insanity. It's insanity around Shedeur Sanders. When they went to the crowd, it was like the Browns had just won the Super Bowl. Shedeur walked in the second half of a preseason game, EJ.
This is what they invited. And again, it's one of those situations where if you did not want to create this circus, you should not have drafted them. And that's why, again, I look at these fans, I look at the social media reaction, and we say, oh, poor Browns. I'm like, no, it's not poor Browns. It's Browns, this is your fault. If you did not want to have this circus around your football team, then you should have just went with Dylan Gabriel. You had your future answer, and then you had your other veterans that you brought in. I don't understand this idea that because they drafted Shedeur Sanders, we all have to act normal. There's nothing normal about him or about this situation.
But they did the guy a favor.
By drafting him?
Yes. Otherwise,
I don't agree they did him a favor.
Do you think Shedeur wanted to just fall out of the draft altogether?
I don't think Shedeur wanted to be drafted to a place where they already drafted another young quarterback. I don't think that he wanted that. He would not have chosen that at all.
You think he'd rather be undrafted?
I don't know if that's the either or, because you're talking about Kyle McCord getting drafted in the 6th round. The Eagles didn't draft another quarterback. There is no other young guy he's competing with. He is Kyle McCord in Philly and some of these other older, the guy Will Howard in Pittsburgh. Like those guys are by themselves as the one young guy in the QB room, and they're the one guy. They're being developed individually. Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel are the only guys in this class that have competition for reps as a developmental quarterback. And to me, no, that's not an ideal situation. If he could have went 6th round to a team that didn't have Dylan Gabriel, yeah, I think he would have chosen that.
But Dylan Gabriel, to a certain extent, is immaterial to this conversation because if he wasn't there, Kenny Pickett then would be the target of the Shedeur love. If Shedeur had walked in and played that first preseason game the same way, they'd be telling you to trade Kenny Pickett because you've got your backup in Shedeur. So Dylan Gabriel's there, and it complicates things and it makes it different than anything else. But it's people would not be in any way more reserved dealing with good or bad Shedeur, whether Pickett was there or not.
Right, but then you have what feels like a more normal quarterback competition, where there are teams where there are 3 quarterbacks and people clamor for the third guy, the young guy. When you have this complicated situation where there's 2 young guys and then this other guy who's hurt and then Joe Flacco, you've now created an even bigger circus. And we're talking about Dylan Gabriel's development. I think you're hurting him as well because now he has to answer Shedeur questions that he shouldn't have to answer. No other, again, Jalen Milroe doesn't have to answer for another 5th round quarterback that was taken in his own draft.
All right, we got to take a break. I'm not sure how it hurts Dylan Gabriel to have to answer a question about Shedeur. The guy's trying to learn to play quarterback in the NFL, but
he had to come out of his first press conference and do a clarification after the first game he played.
Right, but it's just a press conference. They're beyond meaningless. Again, listen, Nick Sirianni is my head coach in Philly, and nobody gives a worse press conference than that dude, and he's won 75%.
He's always going to use that example.
Press conferences are the most anyway. Well, let's get back. All right, you know what? Let's just get back into Shedeur. Let's just yell at each other about Shedeur Sanders. That's what we've been diminished to as a show and as a country, and I'm all for it. That's next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Andrew Bogusch had a plan on a sunny afternoon. Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said, Jack, let's show 'em how the Bogusch boys can play. But little did they know he had whiskey in his sway.
Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat.
Jack's team was laughing as Dad took his stance, wobbling at the plate in a tipsy baseball dance. The coach was shaking his head, moms were all aghast, but Andrew Bogusch grinned, living in the past.
Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. He hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. Hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. To the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. So if you see a little league and laughter fills the air, look for Andrew Bogusch, you might find him there. With a grin and a wink, he'll raise a drink on high, playing ball with Jack's team under the summer sky.
Andrew Bogusch had a plan on a sunny afternoon. Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said, Jack, let's show 'em how the Bogusch boys can play. But little did they know he had whiskey in his sway.
Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat.
Jack's team was laughing as Dad took his stance, wobbling at the plate in a tipsy baseball dance. The coach was shaking his head, moms were all aghast, but Andrew Bogusch grinned, living in the past.
Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. He hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. He hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Okay, we ended the last segment by yelling at each other about Shedeur Sanders. You know what? Browns coach Kevin Stefanski keeps saying the right things. He wants to develop these two guys organically, the rookies Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. Why can't he just do this? Like, what's the difference? There was an opportunity to take a quarterback who looks like he has an NFL future in the 5th round. And by all accounts, he's practiced really well. Everybody seems to get along except for some strange quotes going back and forth with Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why we have to put such a microscope on Shedeur Sanders. And I'm being partly naive here, but I don't understand how Shedeur Sanders exactly has become Tim Tebow. He was good in college, don't get me wrong, really good.
Yeah.
And his last name is Sanders, but there have been other sons of pros and there have been other good college quarterbacks. EJ, can you explain why it's become somewhat hysterical, the coverage of this guy?
Well, because Shedeur Sanders has been a cultural phenomenon really since leaving high school at the very least. It's probably the earliest I would say he became that phenomenon, right? He was a 4-star-ish prospect that decided to go to Jackson State with this superstar phenom in Travis Hunter, along with his dad, Deion Sanders, who's one of the more famous people we have in American sports. And they were going to try to rebuild HBCUs. That was the mission, which brought a lot of attention for a lot of people. Then they left that place, to some people's eyes, a little controversially, to then go to Colorado, where they were going to try to turn around this program. There were a lot of eyeballs that went beyond just football. Like I've dealt with mothers, aunties, grandmas that want to ask about Shedeur Sanders and who this kid is and how he is doing. So again, this idea that you could draft a cultural phenomenon in the 5th round and that you weren't going to get this immediate hysteria around him, like you were, that the word you use is right. It would be naive. And that's why I look at the Browns and I say, is this what you really wanted? Is this the environment that is best suited to foster the development for either of these two young quarterbacks? History tells us no.
There is no history on this. There's never been.
Nobody does it, right?
Well, the last time a team took two quarterbacks in the same draft was the now Commanders with RG3 and Kirk Cousins. That worked out pretty well, actually.
Yeah, it actually worked out well.
Well, sort of, in a weird way.
Probably for Kirk Cousins, not really for Robert Griffin, but I don't know if Kirk Cousins being there was the reason why it didn't work.
No,
he would say it is. He's made comments about how he felt like the coaches always kind of liked Kirk Cousins. There's always been that back.
Oh, that's interesting.
And we know that there's that Kirk Cousins. What I always
cult of Kirk
is the cult of Kirk.
Yeah, I can't remember who says.
Diana Rossini told us that on the show. So I mean, like it's not normal. So to me, that's the problem I have with it. Is if you wanted Shedeur Sanders, then don't draft Dillon Gabriel. If you wanted Dillon Gabriel and you wanted to really develop him, then don't draft Shedeur Sanders. The Browns think that they're going to be the team that could actually handle this was laughable.
So
like,
wait,
if you tell me the Eagles tried this or the Chiefs tried this, I say, you know what, I don't love it, but they're the Chiefs and there are a lot of big stars around the team, so you know what, maybe they could handle this. There's a reason why the Eagles took a shot on Michael Vick when he came out of prison. It was because they knew that they had the infrastructure and the coaching staff and the roster to handle the media hysteria around it. When you're a scrub team and a terrible organization like the Browns and you don't have a lot of star players, or the star players you have are pariahs like Deshaun Watson, why did you think that you were going to be the situation that's going to be able to handle this correctly?
Well, that's a good point, except I have to ask you, all those teams don't need quarterbacks. So say Shedeur had fallen out of the draft altogether and you're Deion, where would you encourage your son to sign? Like what team?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, great.
Yeah, Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah. Because they've had such success developing quarterbacks since Ben. I mean, that'd be a mess. So he can hand the ball off 3 times in a row.
No, because Mike Tomlin is the guy that we've given Mike Tomlin so much respect that we think he can handle Aaron Rodgers. So if you're talking about
Mike Tomlin's the guy who wouldn't fire Matt Canada, and now he has Arthur Smith as his OC. Like, that's not where I'm going if I'm Dion.
But you're talking about good situations. I think you're talking about a team that's stable. I think you're talking about a team that's not in constant, chaos. I think they should have drafted.
They have Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. You don't think that's chaos?
Well, I don't think they're going to do well this year, and I've said that. I think the Steelers are going to make the playoffs.
They had a weird situation last year with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields.
But But Aaron Rodgers wasn't signed by the time the draft happened. So you're just telling me when they had Mason Rudolph and all.
So wait.
I would have wanted to go there.
But this is exactly where they should go, because if you got in Shedeur, you wouldn't be able to develop him normally because of all the outside noise. So say they had drafted him and they were at number 20 and people thought they might take him. They went defensive tackle instead. If they had taken him, then they would have been in a really bad spot, because then they would have had to play him or deal with outrage.
Well, no, if they would have signed Aaron Rodgers, then everyone would have understood that Aaron Rodgers is the guy. No one would be clamoring for Shedeur Sanders to start over Aaron Rodgers. That's crazy.
Your solution is pairing with Aaron Rodgers at Pittsburgh.
I think it's a lot better than Cleveland. Do you think the situation has been good here? Do you think this hysteria has been good? I think it's been a disaster.
All right. Got to talk Matthew Stafford next. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Yeah, go ahead.
Aaron Rodgers kicks back, puts up a Lambo on. Smooth guitar strums, he's feeling calm. But wait, what's that? There's a vacant chair. Peter. Maggie's in the office, can't take it no more. Just a small town girl, she slams the door. The lights go down and the music starts to play, but Maggie's had enough, she's screaming no way. She's sick of the journey and tired of the song. The midnight train has been rolling too long. But while she's out here hating on the tune, Peter Bellatti's the one who's gone too soon. Don't stop believing, Pete's not showing up. Hold on to that feeling, yeah, that's not enough. Streetlight people work, but Peter don't care. He's missing again, and there's no one there. Maggie's in the break room, hearing that refrain. Strangers waiting, but Pete's missed his train. She's working hard to get her fill, but Pete's just living life at a standstill. She's searching in the night for Bellatti's excuse, but all she finds is another lane loose. The midnight train ain't bringing him in. He's just like that song, worn way too thin. Don't stop believing, but Pete's still MIA. Hold on to that feeling, yeah, that's not enough. Streetlight people work, but Peter don't care. He's missing again, and there's no one there. Some will win, some will lose, we've heard it all before. But Peter's never showing up, he's out the door. The movie never ends, and neither does the wait. Maggie's stuck with Journey, but Pete's absentee fate. Don't stop believing, Pete's not showing up. Hold on to that feeling, but Pete won't show up. Streetlight people, they're out there grinding, but Peter Bellatti's still no sign of him. So while Maggie can't stand that song on repeat, the real problem's Pete, who just can't take a seat. Don't stop believing, or maybe just do, cause Peter Bellotti, he's ghosting the crew.
1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Back on Maggie and Perloff show. EJ Stewart in for Maggie Gray, who's on a well-earned break. She'll be back later in the week. You know what? I'm glad Maggie's not here because I was on vacation and I'm sitting there in a spa. You know, I have mud packed on my face, getting my pedicure, you know, fully relaxing.
Ooh, okay.
Then I get an alert on my phone from Maggie Gray. All 31 teams are going to regret passing on Shedeur Sanders.
And you were not happy.
I was not happy because it was one preseason game, and I thought it was a massive overreaction. Honestly, I think there's a huge overreaction to Shedeur struggling in Game 3. I think Shedeur got into the game on Saturday against the Rams, and I think he was trying to make a play because he's a fourth-string quarterback, and he's like, well, I'm not going to have a lot of opportunities to play. I better try and make a big play, show off my talent. I get it. It was a mistake. He got into some bad habits that he had at Colorado where he was running around in the backfield, took a massive 25-yard sack. Listen, we know Shedeur does that, but I don't think Kevin Stefanski was going to kill him for that, and I don't think we should kill him for that. Just understand, I don't care what he should be. He was a fifth-round quarterback. He's a developmental player. It's preseason. Can we just treat him more like a normal football player on a normal team, even though, EJ, you say he's not?
He just isn't. He's, like I said, he's a cultural phenomenon. People have been following his journey. He was on a reality show with Deion Sanders when he was a teenager before he even got to college. So some people are following this guy's journey now for 8-9 years. This is a long time with this kid. So now we can't say, we're going to turn it off in terms of our interest in Shedeur Sanders because he was a fifth-round pick. That doesn't change, especially when you send him to the quarterback desert that is Cleveland, because people are now saying, well, he may be a fifth-round pick, but because of how bad that quarterback situation has been there, he may have a real shot to be that star. They may have found a diamond in the rough. We've seen guys drafted late in the draft become, starting quarterbacks. Brock Purdy, Tom Brady, so on and so forth, Dak Prescott. So I think that there are fans, especially when he went there, that said, okay, this thing may turn around faster than we expected. So it just wasn't going to be the case. And, I don't know if it was happenstance or the football gods or the football, devils maybe. But the fact that all those guys got hurt and he had to play in that first game and he played as well as he did, that only was going to add fuel to the fire, which is why I keep asking the question, did the Browns really want this? I don't think that they wanted any of this. I don't think they wanted a lot of the attention.
Well, who's they? I think the owner might have wanted it.
That's true. Haslam may have wanted it. Yeah. I don't think the front office wanted it. I don't think the coaching staff wanted it. Because if this was the case, I think that he would either be getting a lot more opportunities than he is, or
what do you mean? Like get what kind of opportunities are we talking about? Like what do you mean get more opportunities?
Well, after you start
he started week 1, was hurt for week 2, and came in at the first play of the second half of week 3.
Right. Well, I think that if you more opportunities, well, first of all, the word is in camp is that he's not getting a lot of reps with anybody. He's been on the bench sitting throwing to trainers half the time. So a lot more reps in training camp. And I do feel like after the first game, yes, he got hurt in week 2, but perhaps he gets in the first half, or perhaps you give him the whole second half as opposed to deciding to pull him for Ty Huntley. It's true. Like I think that there's a reality where this guy is getting a lot more shots at being the quarterback 2 for this team than he got.
Don't you think it makes sense that I heard someone say, "Oh, you already know what you got in Joe Flacco. Why are you playing him in the preseason?" I don't know, to get your starters some reps.
Oh, no, he should have played.
Yeah, so there's no problem with that. And the fact is, Dylan Gabriel went in the 3rd round, and Shedeur went in the 5th round. So Dylan was always, based on that, going to be ahead of him on the depth chart. That's just the reality. And Dylan played fine. He played good. But here's something interesting that Andrew Barry, who was talking during the telecast when Shedeur was playing, the GM of the Browns was actually with the 2 broadcasters, Joe Thomas and Andrew Siciliano. And he explained a little bit more about why they're slow playing Shedeur Sanders.
It can never be, underestimated how big of a transition it is for a quarterback to go from college to the NFL. I think particularly in Shedeur's case, like he's going from a college offensive system where you kind of give the example. It's like, okay, imagine you are fluent in English and now you have to learn Mandarin. It's not even a Germanic language. And his growth really since the spring on, the mental side of things, having command of the offense, has been real impressive.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big transition. I don't totally understand that because he did have Pat Shurmur for a bit in Colorado.
It was massive indictment on Pat Shurmur.
Well, I mean, maybe, but you said different language. So he's in now a Kubiak, Shanahan, Stefanski offense. Maybe it's a different offense.
Yeah, but he kept saying college offense. He kept emphasizing.
Yeah.
He didn't say different style. He didn't say we went from a spread to a West Coast. He said a college system to our system, which is the NFL system, which tells me if I was Deion Sanders, I'd be calling Pat Shurmur in my office tomorrow being like, we were supposed to, the number one goal for you to be here was to develop my son. Let's be clear. We know that that's why he was there. Get my son ready for the NFL. Why is the coaching staff and the general manager saying that he has no idea in terms of this system that they're running and why he's so behind?
Well, that actually, there's some validity to that, but that's, again, why people are avoiding Shedeur. It's like so toxic. You work with this guy, you're opening yourself up to all kinds of criticism. And, it's funny. Dylan Gabriel, I mean, they said it during the game, and I couldn't believe he started more college football games than anybody ever in the history of the sport. 63 FBS starts.
Yeah.
So he's seen every offense under the sun. But then again, he's from actual spreads. So, I feel like he didn't have I'm starting to think of who he had as his coaches. Was it Jeff Lebby or somebody? He definitely, he had real college coaches.
Yeah.
And then Dan Lanning. So, regardless, Dylan Gabriel looks a little more ready to run the offense. That might be that he got better play calls. But some of the narratives that came out of this game, you're putting Dylan Gabriel out with these stars and Shedeur plays with these scrubs. Dylan Gabriel wasn't throwing to Jerry Jeudy. He was throwing to guys we never heard of, too. It was basically a preseason game.
But he did have a better line because the guys that Shedeur played with, 4 of them got cut. Then what? I don't know what better message that sends in terms of the level of talent that Shedeur was out there with. Yeah. That the guys that were letting him get his brains beat in or on the street today.
Well, that's why the coaches probably weren't mad at Shedeur at all after that game. They were like, "Well, you shouldn't do this. Just try to throw the Shedeur's got to throw the ball out of bounds." But I think Shedeur was trying to make a play.
Yeah, he was. Let me be clear for those who may not understand where I'm coming from. He played terrible. I thought he took some terrible sacks. There were some sacks that the line wasn't good, but there were plenty of videos, and shout out to the Browns telecast. They were showing some of them where clearly, yes, the pressure may be there, but if you step up in the pocket, you'll have more time.
Yeah.
And he's just not comfortable with that. He was not comfortable with it at Colorado. He prefers to spin out and try to roll out of the pocket to make more plays. And to be honest, one of the things that worried me from that first game was that he had some success running around.
Yeah, I know.
Because having that success, I think, gave him a false sense of security. He's talking to Myles Garrett after the game, hey, maybe I could escape you. And he's like, I don't want to hurt you, young fella. That's what's going to happen in the NFL. He's going to get hurt playing the way he tried to play the other day.
Well, he did have an amazing juke. He broke a guy's ankles on Saturday's game. I don't know if you saw that, where a guy was coming straight at him, and he did a backward spin to get away from him.
Yeah,
but then the problem was there were 3 more guys waiting for him. There was another play where he broke about 3 tackles. Then he somehow found a guy about 8 yards downfield, hit him in the hands. It was a little behind him. He did actually make a great play. The guy just dropped the ball. But he does look like an NFL quarterback. He's big. You and I argued. I think he's way more athletic than I think you think. I think he's athletic.
I think he's average. That's why I keep saying.
I think he's above average. He's definitely. I watched Dylan Gabriel try and move. Gabriel's got a hamstring. Shedeur just looks like a much more fluid runner to me.
Yeah, I just think that a more athletic guy maybe wouldn't have been under siege the way Shedeur was. Shedeur,
but he can definitely escape pressure. He's had a lot of training at Colorado.
Yeah, exactly. He's not a statue, but I think that if you're going to be that guy, that escape guy, I think you want to see a little more pop in terms of really being able to run. And
yeah, but I mean,
runner,
like a lot of guys don't run in
like,
college, then do running in the pros. Like, I mean, there are a lot of. I mean, Justin Fields didn't run at all at Ohio State, and then he almost
I
set
didn't
the
even know
record.
he was this fast until he got to the NFL, which was bizarre.
But in Shedeur, everyone in the first preseason game, everyone was like, "Wow, I'm really surprised Shedeur could run for that first down." I didn't see that coming. I'm like, because he didn't do that at Colorado. He always stayed behind the line and tried to find try. By the way, one more thing: Travis Hunter's been out for a week and a half, and nobody cares at all. So it's like, where's the buzz around that guy? So it's something about Shedeur. Shedeur has elevated way above Travis Hunter in the buzz rankings.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because Travis Hunter is going to be the first two-way player. Nobody even seems to care that he's out or know exactly why he's out. All right, we got to get to our quarterback carousel. We're reaching the end. We've been breaking down one big question for every quarterback in the NFL.
I feel so lucky to be the quarterback.
It's the position everyone wishes they could play.
Why can't I be quarterback, huh? Sit down and shut up.
But it's not for the faint at heart.
Quarterbacks are premium.
I think those things add up to make it quarterbacking the toughest job in sports.
Maggie and Perloff answer one big question about the quarterback.
All right, EJ, you've been the one asking Maggie and I the big question, but you're in the big chair today. Maggie's on vacation. So how are we going to do this? You got the question, bud?
So it's actually going to be Manny asking the question.
Okay.
We're talking about the Los Angeles Rams because we're moving on to the NFC West today. So, Manny, go ahead.
Yeah, EJ, thank you very much. The LA Rams, they were a drive away from eliminating the Philadelphia Eagles and making their way to the NFC Championship game. We saw Matthew Stafford earlier this summer with some back issues. So I ask you guys, is this the beginning of the end for Matthew Stafford?
Can I go first?
Sure.
I've been debating. I really like the Rams in the offseason. I thought they played the Eagles tough. As you mentioned, their defense is young and up and coming. They replaced Cooper Kupp with Devontae Adams, and the way Kupp has been hurt, I thought that was an upgrade. Puka Nacua is a star. I was actually thinking about them. Oh, do I put them in the Super Bowl mix? The Stafford injuries slowed me down, but not as much as everyone else. I just get a vibe, despite a lot of reports, that Stafford, who is as tough as any quarterback there is going to be okay. And I think this team is still going to be present this year, where I think a lot of people sold all their Los Angeles Rams stock. I'm going optimistic for no apparent reason that his back is going to be okay enough that this team, who is very talented around him, can be better than we think. What do you think, EJ?
I've never come around on a athlete, I think, as much as I've come around on Matthew Stafford. I was always never a Stafford guy. And
yeah.
Again, even after the Super Bowl, was still not a Stafford guy. It wasn't until I saw him play against the Lions in the playoffs on the road in a hostile environment and how well he played. He should have won that game, where I was like, this guy is different. So I have a lot of respect for Matthew Stafford, but I think this is near the end here. This is a guy who has dealt with a lot of injuries over the course of many years. Now you're dealing with a back injury. Back injuries are as debilitating as any injury you can have. And I just feel like with where the Rams' mind is tells me what they think of the situation. Because what was the reporting we had coming out of this training camp? They're looking at Arch. They're already putting the pieces.
Wait. Reporting.
I said reporting.
That felt in the rumorish territory to me.
I mean, the reporting was that they think very highly of Arch Manning and that they would target him in this draft if he indeed comes out. And we saw them make the trade this year in the draft to get an extra first-round pick that in theory would sweeten the pot if they need to move up in the first round. So to me, the Rams are already looking ahead. They're already seeing the end of Matthew Stafford. So if they're anticipating the end, then I have to anticipate the end. So as much as I respect Matthew Stafford for his toughness, for his arm talent, and for just being an absolute baller, I have to say that this is probably near the end because the back injury thing is serious. And I got to tell one quick little TMI story. I'm in Pennsylvania with the family for, the weekend. And somehow epidurals came up. I forgot. I think it was because my dad was talking about, me having a future family at some point because my fiance was there and stuff.
Oh, my gosh. So we're talking about epidurals during pregnancy, during birth?
Yes, during birth pregnancies, right. And my dad
can't be worse than a paper cut.
My dad's telling the story of my mom having an epidural when I was born. And the length of the needle, which it seemed like it was expanding every time he kept showing. It was like, first it was here, then it was 6 inches, then it was 12 inches. By the time it felt like it was 2 feet, by the time his conversation was over. And I'm thinking about like what goes.
Cut that, by the way. We'll use that out of context later on, by the way.
I'm thinking about like what goes with going through an epidural and what that entails.
Yeah.
This feels serious to me. Like I don't think this is just his back's a little sore, he'll be fine. I think this is a serious deal that he's gonna have problems with all season. The fact that they went to that length just to get him to feel better tells me that this is not going well in terms of his health.
Maggie actually called me this weekend. She said the one thing I want you and EJ to do is not talk about giving birth because there's no woman in the room and you have no idea what's going through.
Can't be worse than playing basketball on a sprained ankle.
Yeah,
Sure.
Right.
That's Manny Rodriguez who said that, ladies.
Charles Barkley who said that.
Oh, true, yes. Original quote from Charles Barkley.
If we're doing TMI, my wife is like, maybe I'll try a natural birth. And then, thank God we did not. You are never going to. EJ, all I will tell you is, if there are drugs around, give them to her, give them to you, give them to your parents, give them to the nurse, anybody around. Drug up as much as you can.
That's been my MO for 10 years.
Well, yeah, that's how you play the media lady. No, that came out way wrong. No, I meant like, whatever. Okay.
Let's go, y'all. I know.
You're not going to drug the young lady. You're going to drug yourself. So
right,
you're
exactly.
like, you're relaxed and you can go up to a woman at a bar.
Yeah, exactly. Of course.
Yeah.
There was
It's
no
called
other way
beer.
I meant it.
Beer is your drug.
Sure.
Or whiskey.
Whiskey is
All of them.
one.
All of them.
Yes. Yes and yes. So,
Proceed.
Anyway, Matthew Stafford, who has some young kids, I believe, has been through this.
Yes.
I think the epidurals have shrunk since your dad was in the birth room.
I would hope so. Because
I don't remember a big
Matthew
needle.
Stafford needed a 12-inch needle in his back for him to feel better.
Yeah.
And he still was dealing with issues. That would be a major concern.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a concern. But do you feel like me? Are you a little hesitant to completely fade the Rams?
Yes. I do feel like for this season, that's the one thing is, can this season be the one where maybe it's his last dance, so to speak? Maybe. But when, again, the question being like, is this the beginning of the end? I think that's almost a solid yes. Like I don't feel like you're going to see 3-4 more years of Matthew Stafford playing at a high level, which may sound crazy, but as you always say, Pearl, like you'll see quarterbacks late in their careers
nowadays.
Yeah, like play till 40, play till 38, 39. Like it's not out of the question that he could have 3 more really good years.
Yeah.
But his health situation makes me feel a bit wary, and the Rams looking ahead and looking for his replacement already makes me feel wary.
Joe Flacco was throwing dimes at 40. If it was just a preseason setting where you couldn't get to Joe Flacco, that dude would throw for 500 yards a game.
And I'll tell you, with the way the NFL rules are, like you feel like, man, the way you can't touch a quarterback, maybe this is the era where he can figure this out. Maybe he could be the guy that, with the right protection, taking care of his body, that he could manage just get through the season. But it's the NFL. It's such a physical sport. I just think it's naive for me to think that he's going to have back injuries in training camp that needs epidural care in order for him to just get out there on the field. Once the season starts, he's going to be dealing with that all year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's fun when the Rams, Stafford does have such a beautiful arm. It's fun when they're good, so I hope he is healthy.
Same.
We want to hear from you. I know we have some Rams fans who are listening at 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. What do you expect out of Matthew Stafford? And if you want to weigh in on Shedeur, did the Browns do a disservice to Shedeur Sanders by pulling him with 2 minutes left in the final preseason game? And as EJ is sort of claiming, kind of screwed up this whole QB development. As usual, things don't completely make sense in Cleveland. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I kind of want to see how this all plays out. I think all 4 quarterbacks will play, but I understand there are a lot of people who have issues. So give us a call. Up next, as promised, college football, Texas, Ohio State. It's right around the corner. This is amazing. We'll dive into it next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff show. College football got off to a pretty good start this weekend. The Iowa State-Kansas State game was super fun. We'll get into some of these sideline shenanigans with Avery Johnson's family later in the show. But Iowa State, man, Matt Campbell with some gutsy coaching to seal the win. Anthony Beck's son played well too. Rocco Becht. So it was a really fun opening the season. We'll get into some more of that. But, I mean, come on. Saturday, big noon Eastern, that is, Texas at Ohio State. It's what? Today's Monday. How many days away is Saturday? Help me out. 5
days?
6?
Technically 5 days if you're counting today.
Something like that.
Bogusch is here. He laughed at that. All right.
4 if you're not counting today.
EJ is sitting in for Maggie. We're going to do something new, a who's under the most pressure draft. And we'll go one by one in the Texas-Ohio State game. 1 versus 2. Ohio State actually favored by 1.5. Texas number 1. Huge game. So we're going to try and figure out who is under the most pressure. And we both get to pick a guy. We're going to do it draft style. Mm-hmm. We'll put a little music underneath this. Well, I'll get us started if that's okay. I'm going to get number 1 pick. To me, there is definitely one person in this building who is under the most pressure, and that is Texas coach Steve Sarkisian. Because I think everybody kind of likes Sark. Incredible story. Came back from a really tough bottom. Very likable guy, in my opinion. Good coach, good offensive coordinator. But now he's got the number 1 team. There is so much pressure to win. It's been the last 2 Final Fours. He has a generational quarterback. Has talent everywhere. He lost some really good players to the draft, but brought in new good players. I feel like actually there's not a coach in all of college football under more pressure. I think James Franklin at Penn State's pretty close, but I think Sark's number 1. So Sark is therefore my number 1 pick in our Ohio State-Texas pressure draft.
Yeah, Sark's a great pick. I agree with a lot of those points with him being under a lot of pressure. I think if you go number 2, I think the obvious pick is Arch Manning, right?
Arch Manning.
This is a guy who was number 1 recruit coming out of high school. People in Austin and all around the country have been clamoring for Arch Manning to play because of the fact that Quinn Ewers has kind of been in and out of the lineup and a little bit inconsistent. So now Quinn is gone. Arch has a shot to play. People were expecting results. They made them number 1 for a reason, in part because of Arch Manning. Arch Manning, there's this question of whether or not he's going to enter the draft early, even though we've really never seen him play an extended game against real competition. It doesn't get as much pressure than going to the horseshoe in your first big non-conference start, which is what this is going to be for Arch Manning. So Arch Manning, the number 2 spot here for most pressure.
Okay, I love it, but I'm actually going to go with another quarterback for my second pick, number 3 overall, Julian Sayin, Ohio State. He is getting the keys to the Ferrari, not to confuse it with the Maserati, which is what Ohio State's offense was there when Marvin Harrison Jr. was there. Maserati Marv. Now he has a offense that won the national title, taking over for Will Howard, who I would say was a journeyman quarterback. You don't need a superstar at Ohio State. You've had them, and they haven't won. You have so much talent around you. Julian Sayin, former 5-star recruit, committed to Alabama, and then switched over to Ohio State. A lot of pressure on this kid. Took him a long time to win the quarterback battle. So I'm a little bit nervous for him. Like, it's almost like, don't screw it up, kid. You got Jeremiah Smith and the most talented wide receiving core. Definitely in college football right now, and it's going to challenge to be one of the most elite wide receiver rooms in college football history. And that is not hyperbole in this case at all. So much pressure. Julian Sayin has to play well, or he's going to be a major disappointment.
Great choice. I agree. Sayin has to play well in this one, especially considering the weapons they have. I think people expect this Ohio State offense to be a well-oiled machine coming in despite the change of quarterback. So number 4 here, my second pick for most pressure. Maybe a bit of a surprise for some, but I'm going with head coach Ryan Day. This is a guy that just won a national title. In many ways, he relieved a lot of pressure because he won that title despite losing to Michigan again. But I have this theory, and my brother as well have this theory, that once you're kind of on the hot seat, you're never quite off. And I'm not going to say that Ryan Day is in any way, any shape or form going to get fired this year. But I think the idea that he'll ever be beloved in Columbus, that will never happen. I think he will be the coach that delivered the title, and there will be maybe a modest respect for him. But make no mistake, if this thing turns south at any point soon, they will want him out of there just as quick as they wanted him out just a couple years ago, or even last year after they lost to Michigan. So I think there's some pressure here. I think coming off a national title, there's an expectation that Ohio State has gotten past the boogeyman of losing big games. If in the first test after winning a national title, you lose a big game, I think those Ohio State fans would be like, wait a minute, are we a one-year wonder? What the hell is going on? And we know how that rabid fan base can be in Columbus. So I'm going with Ryan Day as my second pick, the 4th overall here in this pressure draft.
Okay, we're both sitting here wearing shorts, correct?
That is correct.
You don't want to see my legs on camera. It is August.
Where are you going here?
It's not November. This is not Michigan. There's no pressure on Ryan Day. Nobody cares if he wins this game. He's got to beat Michigan. I don't even care if he goes back-to-back defending titles. That is the only pressure on Ryan Day. You have to admit, that's what this is about. It's not about beating Texas. And honestly, I think the playoff committee will forgive a loss here. I think it's an interestingly low-pressure situation for Ryan Day, even at home, because you're going against the number one team. No one's going to kill Ryan Day. So that's where we disagree.
Do you think if they lose this game, though, that fans won't be like, is this still the guy? You think they'll be totally fine as if
they're in a waiting pattern until Michigan, I think.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to actually stay with coaches.
Wow, okay.
They have a new defensive coordinator in Columbus. Jim Knowles famously left right after the season. Was not happy. Matt Patricia, who we had on the Super Bowl and loved. He was great. Came in wearing that cool hat.
Yes.
And he was like, I love you guys. I want to hang out. I want to learn.
He's wearing a Kangol.
Yeah, he's like, I want to learn the media from you guys. Then he ghosted us and went back to coaching. And I think that a lot of people don't even realize that he's at Ohio State. He's at Ohio State, right? Because I have not heard much from him. Then Brian Hartline got promoted to offensive coordinator, which is no surprise because he's been this outstanding wide receiver coach. Yeah. So Patricia, by the way, he could screw this up because Texas has a high-powered offense. Mm-hmm. If they get blown out, that's going to look like, oh, okay, here we go. It's a Detroit Lions, Matt Patricia. So I feel like he's under a little pressure. All right, who do you got next?
All right, so we're going to stay with Ohio State here, and I'm going to go with the cover athlete for EA College Football 26. I'm going to go with Jeremiah Smith. Now, this is a guy there's no NFL thing on the line. There's no...
Yeah, he's not eligible.
Yeah, there's none of that stuff on the line. But I think Jeremiah Smith was such a revelation last year as one of, if not the most talented skill player in college football as a freshman. He is legitimately a phenom. But there's a quarterback change now. So I think some of the success that we're expecting Ohio State to have is because of how great he is. There's this idea that, well, you could put me or Perloff behind that Ohio State center, and we could throw to Jeremiah Smith. Well, Jeremiah Smith's the guy who had to make the plays in order to make that a thing. And it might not even be his fault if his numbers come down this year or he doesn't have a great first game. But if that situation is not as smooth as we think it is, and you talked about how long it took for Sane to win that job, if they're not on the same page right from the beginning, yes, Sane will get the blame, but I think Smith is going to bear the brunt of the success. If Sane is going to be success, it's going to be because of Jeremiah Smith and that wide receiving core. So that's where the pressure comes. Not necessarily from the outside, but in terms of making Ohio State a successful offense, it's going to start and begin with Jeremiah Smith and his ability to elevate the quarterback position.
Yeah, no, I can't argue with that because the expectations have never been higher for a wide receiver ever. My sense is he's going to meet them because he's that good. But you're right, and Chip Kelly is gone. I don't think Chip Kelly was doing any favors because he wanted to run the ball every play anyway. That's it for the pressure draft. But one player, who scouts are in love with this kid, Anthony Hill Jr. on Texas, a linebacker, who, according to Mel Kiper, is one of the top 5 players. I think he makes a lot of noise in this game and starts to become hyped. I mean, probably he's not going to be able to do things to get into the Heisman race, but he really could be the top defensive player in the league. Probably wouldn't go number 1 because of his position, but he is spectacular.
I'll be honest. You went with Patricia as a coordinator.
Yeah.
I actually would have went with Brian Hartline as my guy if I was picking your spot.
Yeah, I think Hartline has some continuity with that offense, though, because he's been there. I'm not so worried about him at all. Jim Knowles was a big deal for Ohio State. It took him a long time to get that right. Man, I can't believe this is 5 days away.
I know.
We have to make a pick on this on Friday, and I got to be honest, I've gone back and forth in my head about 1,000 times.
I think what makes this one so unpredictable is because the two guys under center are guys we haven't seen play for any extended time.
Well, we've seen a little bit of Arch. I don't feel nervous about him. Maggie did say that. Yeah, dude can run. What's the worst that could happen? Like, if the passing game's not there.
The Georgia game.
Yeah, but he came in like the second quarter, right? Like, it was a mess already.
Right, but I mean, that's the worst case scenario is that, like, we've only seen Arch really play against bad teams, and the one time he got in relief against a really good team, he looked like a deer in headlights.
Yeah, but Georgia was already headed downhill in that game. He looked just as bad as the guy ahead of him.
Ewers looked worse in many ways.
Yeah. So I'm not going to kill him for that game.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I probably am more jury out on Arch than most. I think everybody's just assuming this kid's going to be amazing, and I think there is some reason to believe that. I think only because of Sarge.
Sark.
Sarge.
Yeah.
They should call him Sarge. Sark.
I like that. I think we just invented something.
Seriously. No, Sark. Like, I think you see he has such a great offensive mind as his head coach and a guy who's great at developing quarterbacks that you feel, okay, even though he hasn't played a lot, he's getting some of the best coaching you can get in college. So with his natural talent, he should be good. Where some of these other 5 stars have went places where there wasn't great coaching and they didn't live up to their 5 stars.
That's a good point, but I believe in his talent. I think there's enough talent around him that he's going to be just fine. I don't think Ohio State lost all their defensive players too to graduation. I mean, I'm sure that. So I think this is a good spot. That being said, I don't think it's a no-brainer. Absolutely done. If DJ Lagway's health to me has been a little bit, but I think DJ Lagway and Arch Manning in the draft could be a Ryan Leaf, Peyton Manning situation. I feel like Lagway's pretty darn close.
Lagway, though, we got to figure out what his health situation is.
Yeah, no, I mean the health. But he's just so huge. His arm is so electric that you're right, the health. But this is 2 years from now. Neither of them. Well, if Arch comes back, Lagway's not eligible for the draft until next year. And then Jeremiah Smith will be in next year's draft, too. All right, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Andrew Bogusch, headlines.
Guys, we have already heard the lust in Manny's voice once this morning since he can't drool over Jalen Brunson drawing fouls. This is his eye candy.
Breaking ball, high fly ball, right field, looking up Garcia. He's done it again. Trent Gresham, everybody, with his second home run tonight. 25th of the season. It's a 5-0 New York lead.
Dave Sims on Yankees radio. 2 solo homers from the dreamy Trent Grisham. A pair of 2-run shots from Jazz Chisholm. The Yankees 7, the Red Sox 2. That avoids a 4-game sweep and snaps an 8-game skid against Boston.
There's something about like the sports fan that like when there's an expendable player on your team that you just love, there's just an infatuation about them, and Trent Grisham is just that guy for me. I mean, I'm sure one of you guys has an expendable player on your mind that, if the team got rid of them, who cares? But for you, it'd be heartbreaking. For me, it'd be Trent Grisham. I love that dude. Thick man.
You'd be heartbroken if Trent Grisham?
Kind of, yes. Kind of. That's a 20 home run, gold glove caliber center fielder right there. And you know what? With that swing at Yankee Stadium and that phenomenal mustache, I would want him back.
I get it. I've always had like my favorite players through the years that aren't the best player. Totally get it. You fall in love with a guy.
Exactly. This is why Perloff is my guy. Turn on your mic.
But is the guy like a 30-something-year-old veteran that you signed on a one? Like usually that guy's like a homegrown guy on your team. Like I remember like Danilo Gallinari on the Knicks. We loved him because he was a Knick and they drafted him. Like I don't know if the guy that you got off the scrap heap is the guy I fall in love with.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. The Yankees won the Trent Grisham trade. Everybody talks about it being the Juan Soto trade. It wasn't the Juan Soto trade. It ends up being the Trent Grisham trade, and it's very clear that the Yankees won it.
Now you've lost.
Moving on, the Dodgers avoided a 3-game sweep in San Diego yesterday, 8-2. The victory capped by homer number 45 from Shohei Ohtani, who had some fun upon his return to the dugout.
There's a fan sitting right by the Dodger dugout that's been giving Ohtani heck all day. After he homers, he says, "How you like that?" We've been hearing him on the field mic the whole time, too.
That's Joe Davis, Oral Hershiser on Dodgers TV. Ohtani gave this heckler, who's wearing a Padres jersey, a high five, slapped him on the back, delighting manager Dave Roberts.
He was wearing him out the whole game, so it was good to see Shohei, initiate a high five from him. So that was great. That was fun. It was good to see Shohei show his personality.
Wait, was Shohei talking back and forth in English to this guy? I guess so.
I don't think he was answering him until he got back after the home run and said, "Ha ha, I win."
In English.
I mean, he said something to him. Yes.
I'm just saying, it seems funny to me that Shohei still insists on a translator. I wonder if that's so he can keep his criminal activities at bay.
Oh, my goodness.
That's where you went with that.
Hey, Maggie.
I know where you were.
No. I just think it is kind of Shohei. One thing that came up during the eBay thing was that Shohei speaks perfect English. Yep. Like, you guys have heard that before, right?
So does Ichiro.
That's how. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's like they just want to speak in their natural language, so they don't have
quote.
And we knew that about Shohei before eBay because like Angel players told us. Would say how funny and stuff he is.
So you guys think that's just absolutely normal that Shohei will not speak in English into a mic at all?
Yes.
It's just been that's the culture of baseball and of athletes of
Bartolo Colon used one too for like 20+ years.
Yeah. It's just what they've done. It doesn't bother me. I don't care.
Yeah, I was joking about the criminal activities, although there is that sneaking suspicion that Shohei keeps getting involved in these weird scandals that Yeah, but you don't think he uses his translator to keep everybody at a distance somehow, like so he doesn't have to deal with some like. I think that could be a thing.
Well, but if let's say your basketball career extended past Dartmouth JV and you were playing professionally in some European country that didn't speak English.
Yeah, you're right.
At what point would you feel comfortable speaking that language? I don't know that I ever would.
Get ready to learn Greek, buddy.
Yeah, but then there are a lot of other professional people who do that.
Yeah,
who
absolutely.
Switch over to English.
Sure.
Like that happens all over the place.
But then there's a benefit and there's a detriment for him too, because he gets a lot of opportunities, but I'm sure there are plenty of other marketing opportunities that he doesn't get because he doesn't open up in that way.
Yeah, does Wemby speak through a translator?
No. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what Wemby speaks. It feels like perfect English. I don't know. I don't know how comparative it is to how Shohei's ability is.
Wemby, I think, started learning English when he was barely, when he was a tween, not even an adolescent yet. So
in France, like a lot of people speak English.
So in Japan, they do too. I mean, a lot of people know English. I'm being serious.
Yeah, I mean, and Manny mentioned Ichiro. Ichiro did it to not do interviews. So I mean, it is a safety net at times.
Tactic.
But yeah.
Do you know, it's funny. I'm sure Shohei was probably like telling yo mama jokes in English to this guy.
Probably.
I get to say. But during the Ipe thing, like we're pretending like that didn't happen. It was a convenient time for Shohei not to have to answer any questions when his translator was in a multi-$100,000 betting scandal. And if I advanced past Dartmouth JV, I would use my translator to bet in Russia on the games.
And I think we're losing the story here, which is how much of a bozo you got to be for your team to be getting pounded and you're still talking trash to Shohei Ohtani. I mean, at what point do you give up the trash talk? Like, okay, early in the game when your team is winning, I understand, or maybe it's a close game, but you gave up 5 runs in the 7th inning. But why are you in the 9th inning still giving it to Shohei? What like you blew the shot at winning the lead, winning the series or sweeping them, and now you lost your spot in terms of being the number 1 team in your division.
Coping, that's why.
I'll also say one thing about Shohei. I know the Padres-Dodgers is all bets are off, but I don't think Shohei's a guy you normally trash talk because he has a lot of fans that are outside of LA. I feel like and Maggie and I fight about this all the time. Like if you're a baseball fan and you're not in a direct rival with the Dodgers, I hope you're a Shohei fan. Like I root for that guy. He's awesome to watch.
Well,
yeah, I mean he's fun. He's cool.
Yeah, I just don't think like in a normal, if it wasn't for a rivalry, like nobody in Philly would trash talk Shohei. I don't think.
Unless you guys are playing each other on the NLCS.
Bad choice.
As soon as it came out of his mouth, he knew this is not.
But also too, I know like, when he travels, he has a lot of fans in other stadiums too. Obviously, Japanese.
Yeah,
fans,
of course. Like Kobe
fans.
did. Like Mahomes does.
Like the Pope would, and I'm sure the Pope hears it in Philadelphia.
Chicago guy.
Well, he's a White Sox fan.
True.
Southside guy. This was the expected outcome, but it hadn't been official yet. Michigan will name 5-star freshman Bryce Underwood its starting QB today. The Wolverines host New Mexico this weekend, then go to Oklahoma. Nafisa Collier, 32 points, 9 rebounds after missing 7 games with an ankle injury. The MVP candidate leading the Lynx to a 97-84 win over the Fever, who played again without Caitlin Clark. That's 15 games in a row that she has now missed. And Novak Djokovic and Jessica Pegula straight set wins on night 1 of the U.S. Open. Guys, back to you.
It's Monday morning. What do you mean night 1, Andrew Bogusch?
What? Yeah, they started on Sunday this year.
Caitlin Clark worked out with the team. Is that right? Like she's shooting around a little bit?
I think I did see some videos of that.
Yeah.
But she's not officially practicing.
Okay.
She had a setback last week.
Oh, my God.
She had an ankle bruise.
Yeah, this has been a lot longer than we thought. All right, coming up next, the M&P 500, whose stock is up and whose stock is down after a somewhat busy, not really busy, sports weekend. That's next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The M&P 500 on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Every Monday, we break down stock up and stock down around the sports world. Maggie's out, so that means EJ Stewart is sitting in. EJ, why don't you get us started with a stock up?
All right, I'm giving my first stock up to Hawaii football and kicker Kansai Matsuzawa. They're getting a stock up because they beat Stanford at home in their first game in week 0. Hawaii football, I have a very close relationship with them because
why is that?
Because they are the team that I run with for my EA college football dynasty. This is the team that I've been trying to rebuild. So
Very close connection.
Head coach Timmy Chang trying to rebuild the brotherhood, as they call it. Like Duke has the brotherhood. They're the brotherhood. That's how you say brother in Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah, the brotherhood winning the game. And get this, Kensai Matsuzawa, he made 3 field goals, including the game winner. He learned kicking from watching YouTube videos when he moved from Japan to the U.S. He kicked for a junior college for 1 year, then went to Hawaii, hit the game winner on Saturday, so they get a stock up for a great weekend for the Rainbow Warriors.
All right, love it. I'm going to stay in college football. Stock up, I think up. They're starting to leak some stuff about Lee Corso's final appearance. They put out a tribute video. I don't know if you guys saw this, but yeah, I can't really talk about it because it's getting dusty in here.
Oh, really?
It was
that emotional?
It was people who've worked with him like Desmond Howard and Chris Fowler and Mike Tirico praising Lee Corso, of course, former NC State coach, who is been a staple on ESPN College Game Day. And all I'm going to say is it ends, if you haven't seen it, look it up on the internet, because it ends with Kirk Herbstreit talking about Lee Corso, and oh man, is it emotional.
Not ready for that.
Oh, it's great. And like, I am sad. I worked with Corso. I did one season between jobs where I was a producer on ESPN Thursday Night College Football, and the crew was Herbstreit, Corso, and it was Tirico and Fowler split it, a lot of Tirico. Now, it's funny because they were more focused on the Saturday show. They were so nice. But Corso in particular was a character and incredibly nice. And I think next week is his final game day. And it seems, I can tell you from just being around him a little bit, like it's legit. Like when people say they loved him, they mean it. All right.
He's a guy that has a 100 approval rating when it comes to sports figures, which is rare today. I'm giving a stock up also to Nikola Jokic, because Nikola Jokic knows his boys. Sometimes you know your boys, you know they're a little wild, and he had this advice for Michael Porter Jr. after he was traded from Denver to the Brooklyn Nets.
It was tough saying goodbye to my teammates, especially, Jamal and Aaron, the guys that have been there for a long time. They just all kind of texted in the group chat, and the only thing Nikola said was, wrap it up out there. And that's all he said. He said, make sure you wear condom out there. That's all he said. That was his message. That was his goodbye to me. Those are my guys. Those have been my family, but it's the nature of the sport, and we're going to stay in touch.
That is all he had to say to his team.
He's not talking about his ankle?
No, not wrapping up the ankle or the knee or the elbow. No. He knows his boy. He knows. Listen, we've heard a lot of Michael Porter, a little too much of Michael Porter. We've heard the dumb things coming out of his mouth. We don't need a Michael Porter III right now running around in New York City. We could probably let him mature a little bit before that happens. We know he likes to get around. He said that himself. So Nikola Jokic stock up for some good advice for his former teammate.
I need to go home.
I always wondered in Nikola Jokic's mind, when he had the ball at the top of the key, like, did he really want to pass it to Michael Porter Jr.? I felt like, I always put myself in, because sometimes Porter got hot and it was pretty good. And Porter, to his credit, would always defer to Jokic. Like when it wasn't there, he would just give it right back to him. Anyway, that's a good one. Okay, I'm going to go with Cal Raleigh, kind of obvious for another stock up. If you're doing 2 stock ups, I'm doing 2 stock ups. Cal Raleigh hit 48 and 49, the Mariners slugger, to set the all-time home run record for catchers at 49. But let me give you some bigger numbers for the big dumper here. He is at 49 homers, and it is still August 25th. He could chase some much bigger records. He will most likely, if he stays healthy, pass Mickey Mantle's record for switch hitting home runs, 54.
Yep.
Easy. He will probably pass Ken Griffey Jr.'s franchise record of 56 home runs. But I think he has a chance to get to Aaron Judge's 62. A good chance.
Yeah.
A little perspective. Here's where some of those other guys were at this date. Aaron Judge hit 48 on August 24th through 125 games and ended up at 62.
Yep.
Raleigh's already at 49. Griffey was only at 41 on this date. Then when Ken Griffey Jr. gets hot, there was nothing like it.
Yeah.
Defensive star Ken Griffey Jr.
Greatest center. Him and Andrew Jones, 1A, 1B, best center fielder I've ever seen. Wait, were you laughing at me?
Oh, because you said that he was only a home run hitter. You were like, nobody cared about his defense.
Oh, I was. Oh, no.
Argument with you and Bogusch a few months ago.
But he's not famous. He'd be Andrew Jones if he was just. Anyway, okay. Barry Bonds had 55 in 2001.
Wow.
At this point. He ended up with 73. So I didn't realize Bonds got that hot. I bet you people were like, just screw it. Let's pitch to him more.
Season's over anyway.
So there's a chance that Cal Raleigh could really chase history. It's already one of the most unlikely home run seasons of all time. Man, it's not even September. Wouldn't that be cool if he got into the 60s?
Oh, yeah. I think that hitting 6 home runs always would be a big deal in Major League Baseball. Quick stock down for me. I got to give one to the Sanders family. Was not a good weekend. So Shedeur has the performance that he had. I think he threw for 16 yards on 5 attempts, was sacked 5 times. Shiloh Sanders. Don't forget about Shiloh. Well, the Buccaneers forgot about him because he's no longer on the team. He was cut in the last preseason game he played. He got a 15-yard penalty for unnecessary roughness and was ejected from the game. Not a good way to end your preseason if you're Shiloh Sanders. So you got to give a stock down to the whole family, unfortunately.
But kind of on brand. Because Shiloh was a human missile at Colorado and threw a punch. That was a mistake. The official was too close.
Yeah.
I think the Bucs have said a couple things implying they might take him back, or
practice squad. Yeah.
He might make a roster. I like Shiloh. I don't know what it is. He seems to have a good attitude.
Let's not forget about Shiloh.
All right, coming up next, we'll get a little more into Shedeur. And, is he obviously going to make the team in Cleveland? He thinks so. That's next, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, hour 4, Maggie and Perloff show. EJ sitting in for Maggie, who is on vacation. I can't tell anyone here where. I know it's a beach. There are possibly Mai Tais involved.
Oh, she went to Bangkok.
Oh, jeez. Manny, you have no idea.
That's
As
Thailand,
usual,
right?
no idea what's going on.
It is Thailand.
And I'm actually glad she's not here, so she can't add to the Shedeur Sanders mania. Okay, I was on vacation during Shedeur's first preseason game. EJ Stewart, what was your reaction after he looked really good against the Panthers in week 1? Where do you think that left him in the quarterback rankings for the Browns?
Where I thought it left him was going to be somewhere in the mix for QB2, and that the distance between 1 and 4 had shrunk because he was the only guy that was basically available and he played so well. That clearly was not the case. So that ended up changing things very fast because we saw the depth chart the next day it came out. He was still QB4, even though 2 of the guys, Pickett and at that time Dylan Gabriel, were unavailable. So time had passed, and now we get to hear now he's QB4. More distance has happened because Dylan Gabriel's been out there to play, and now we know he's nowhere near that spot. But after the game, considering how he played, I thought that he was in a real competition to potentially be QB2 purely because of the injuries and his performance.
So he did play poorly. There's no doubt about it. But Andrew Berry, during the game, gave an in-game interview, and he said that they do plan to keep 4 quarterbacks. How they plan to do it is really interesting. Him and Joe Thomas, who is the color analyst, were saying maybe have linebackers and safeties play hybrid roles. Like, he's like, it's crazy. Andrew Berry's like, we're going to squeeze in 4 quarterbacks, which has been the reporting. There was a rumor that they might cut one. I was actually wondering, the Raiders need a veteran quarterback. Aiden O'Connell got hurt, their backup. Kenny Pickett, if he was healthy, would he be on the trade market? The Eagles, I thought, would maybe try and steal Kenny Pickett back after they traded him in the offseason because they had to trade for Sam Howell because Tanner McKee, their backup, got hurt his thumb. So it's a really interesting. I thought all offseason maybe there would be a trade. Let me ask you this question. If Shedeur was put on the practice squad, what do you think would happen? So when you get on the practice squad, you're cut from the team and you're aligned with the team, you practice with the team, but anyone can come sign you.
I think that I don't think anyone will pick him up.
Really?
I don't think, because I think that they've seen the circus in action. Because before, the circus was in some ways a theory. It was the NFL teams making an assessment saying, if we bring this guy in, we think that he will bring a circus, whether he tries to or not. But they didn't know for sure. Now they see he went to a team where he was drafted in the 5th round and was placed as QB4 almost instantly, and still the circus followed him. If we bring him to our team, to be a third string guy, maybe, or maybe a fourth string on some other team, that is smoke that we don't want. So I would assume he does not get picked up because now they've seen what happens with Shedeur Sanders being in your building.
What about the Raiders? The Raiders, as I mentioned, need a quarterback.
Yeah, because Aiden got hurt.
Geno Smith, a veteran who could presumably mentor Shedeur Sanders. They did draft a rookie, Cam Miller,
exactly,
in the 6th round. So I guess that would be the same problem for Shedeur, and that wouldn't make any sense.
And the thing is, like, they had a shot to draft him. They had so many chances to draft him. And Tom Brady is Shedeur's quote-unquote mentor. I don't know how close they actually are, but that has definitely been the public relationship that they have pushed forward. At least the Sanders side has definitely pushed forward that Brady's a mentor. And Brady didn't seem to put his thumb on the scale in any way to bring in Shedeur Sanders. And if you think about Tom Brady, this is a guy who came from the Belichick tree. He came from the Patriot way, which is no distractions, hardcore kind of old school style development, and kind of just one for all for one kind of team building.
They signed Tebow.
That was a veer away from of the Patriot way. And guess what happened? He wasn't there very long, right? They saw what that was going to be like. Bill Belichick said, nope, I don't want anything to do with this, and then took him sideways. The Patriots have shown that they would take a shot on somebody. They brought in Ocho Cinco. Like, they'll bring in a guy.
Might have seen Shedeur as a value.
They brought in Antonio Brown, right? Like, they'll bring in a guy if they think the guy has some talent, but that guy is going to be expected to fall in line and not mess up the apple cart, so to speak.
Well, they might have been interested in Shedeur. They might have seen value there as a distressed asset. You know, and by the way, I was wondering if some team out there might be like, whoa, Shedeur, if it does go badly, Shedeur has some talent. You know, the team that I think people will link sometime, at least my people, the Eagles, because they have a strong base. But that wouldn't have worked out at all, too. They just traded for Sam Howell to make sure they have enough quarterback arms. He would not get a shot on Kansas City or Philly. They would not want a rookie backing up Patrick Mahomes necessarily. I mean,
yeah, but I think if he went to one of those places, though, him being quarterback 3, I think will be a lot more palatable for the Shedeur Sanders fan base out there. But why? The people that are interested in him. Because I think they would look at those situations and say, okay, there's no way that he's gonna usurp Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts or any of those guys.
Well, so but would he be QB2? Patrick Mahomes is a starter. Gardner Minshew is a second. See, you don't think that Shedeur Nation would come after Gardner Minshew?
I don't think they would, to be honest. I really don't. I think.
What about Tanner McKee in Philly?
Maybe, but here's why I say that though, because I think there's more people trust those organizations. They look at the Eagles, they look at the Chiefs, and okay, maybe they think that Shedeur Sanders should be a QB2 somewhere, or maybe even starting. But okay, if he went to Philly or went to the Chiefs or went to one of these high-end organizations and they assessed him in this way, there's a belief that those teams are out to make him the best player he can possibly be, and there's a belief that those teams know what they're doing. The fact that he went to the Browns, well, we know they don't know what they're doing. Like, that's a fact. We know the Browns have had trouble developing quarterbacks and had trouble building a consistent winner. They let a guy who's now a 4,000-yard passer for Tampa Bay, they let him walk out the door to bring in Deshaun Watson. So we know they don't know what they're doing. So they don't get the kind of rope that maybe those other organizations would. If this was the Rams, again, or the 49ers, and they had Shedeur Sanders a core QB4, I think we'd say, you know what, okay, he's QB4, QB3, but you know what? He's in a good place. He's going to learn a lot, and this is a great place to develop. Cleveland is just not that. And I like Kevin Stefanski, but I don't think he's distinguished himself as a great offensive coach in Cleveland. I think he's distinguished himself, quite frankly, as a good head coach. To me, I don't think of Cleveland, I think, oh, this is some offensive juggernaut that he's built. I think he is shown to be a guy who knows how to delegate in a great way in terms of building good defenses. I think he's learned how to make the most out of what is sometimes not the most ideal situations in terms of quarterback play. I don't look at him as an offensive wizard or a guy that's going to be, he's going to develop the next great QB. That's not who he's been as a Cleveland head coach. So the problem is those organizations get a lot more rope than the Browns will. And that's why I think if he went to those teams, it'd be a lot different.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason he hasn't been that guy is because he hasn't really had the quarterback. Their offense was pretty good when he was there with Baker. I mean, that was a good year. I think he won Coach of the Year that year.
Yeah. But do you look at them as an offensive juggernaut?
I think of him as a really good offensive coach. I think he's a good play caller. I think he's like kind of Kyle Shanahan, super light. Like, Yeah, I feel like, and you know what it is? It's and I know what he wants to run. I've seen this offense for years in the NFL. He wants to run something that looks like Kyle Shanahan. I mean, you'll see it. I thought Shedeur might be interesting if Shedeur could learn the Joe Flacco move. Play action and roll to the right and have a cannon like that. That is the Stefanski, Kubiak, Shanahan offense, and I think it can work. I think it actually could work with Shedeur. Shedeur's got to be disciplined and stay in his scheme, and he's obviously got to fight that habit of rolling out of the back of the pocket, which I think he did a great job in practice of. But when the game actually started, he was back in Colorado. He's like, oh, man, my O-line stinks. I got to make a play. I'm not killing Shedeur at all for this game. In fact, by the way, all the hype around Dillon Gabriel was, to me, that was almost as crazy as the overhype of Shedeur in week one. Like, Dillon Gabriel was fine in this game, but he had a pass tipped. He was throwing some dangerous outs. Like Joe Thomas, the broadcaster kept saying, oh, man, if they fake and go into a certain coverage, like that's a pick six. Like, I don't think like Dillon Gabriel blew anyone away. The whole point is it's preseason. Teams are trying things out. We're not overreacting to all the other preseason games. Like there's no, we're not looking at what did Will Howard do in Pittsburgh or what did Cam Miller do with the Raiders, or like we just don't even really care that much.
I know, but this is again why I say it's the Browns' fault for creating this environment, because Shedeur Sanders is not Cam Miller, he's not Will Howard, he's not Kyle McCord, and to think that you could draft him in the 5th round and he's going to be an anonymous rookie is just, to even say those words to me is just insane. Like, only the Browns could think that this was going to go this way.
Well, by the way, nothing's gone wrong per se. What's wrong? What's the problem? There's no real problem in the building. If there is, I'm not sure what it is. Like, what's gone wrong actually, except for the media hubbub?
Do you think that they would prefer the media attention and all the stuff that's happened with Shedeur Sanders? Like, do you think that they would prefer this be the environment that they're going through in the training camp? I don't think they would. If they knew that it was going to be just like this, I don't think they would do it again.
Okay, but all that matters are wins and losses. Is anything that happened affected their win-loss total? If you want to bet the Browns.
NFL teams 100 believe in limiting distractions. Otherwise,
so you think it has?
I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I know again.
Well, there's been distractions, so therefore, if you think that distractions,
I think there can be. What I'm saying is NFL teams believe that distractions lead to wins and loss issues. That's a fact. Otherwise, they wouldn't train NFL players on how to answer questions from the media. They wouldn't limit media access, right? There are certain things they wouldn't do if they didn't care about what the media frenzy, how that impacts winning and losing. We hear from the Cowboys players that the circus that goes with being a Dallas Cowboy, people believe guys that played on that team impacts wins and losses, makes it harder to prepare, makes it harder to be a pro. So, yes, if the pros are telling me it's an issue, then it's an issue. So, yes, I don't think that with the way this situation has gone down that they would think this is an ideal situation. It doesn't mean they can't overcome it. But when you're not a team that has a Kansas City Chiefs roster or Eagles roster, it seems like you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball unnecessarily. You're taking a risk on a guy that you don't actually really believe in. So what's the point in all this?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. What quarterback are we not talking about?
Joe Flacco?
Nope. Remember a guy they paid $225 million? You could argue maybe the owner's like, well, so much for that Deshaun Watson narrative.
You think that? So that's interesting. Do you think there's a chance that they took him in part because they knew this would take the heat off of the Deshaun Watson decision and his presence there?
I don't think they did that consciously at all. Mm-hmm. I think they lucked into that particular situation.
It's fair.
I think Jimmy Haslam was doing a favor to somebody.
Yeah.
Something involved with a relationship with Deion Sanders, and that's why he made that pick. And you know what? It's distracting us from the fact that Joe Flacco is their starting quarterback, and they're in the AFC North. And Myles Garrett said, get me out of here. I want to go where I can win a Super Bowl. And they ended up paying him $40 million. There are a lot of other bad storylines that have been put to the wayside because of Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, they've had some dark ones, too. Quinshon Judkins, who's now back
and they
with
signed
the team.
Isaiah Bond.
Isaiah Bond, yeah, this is... But again, that's why this thing is so ridiculous to me. Yeah. Because you think that team would say, you know what, let's not try to push the envelope, right? You've already pushed your luck in terms of the landmines you stepped on. Some purposely, some not purposely. The idea that you're like, let's just throw this little Molotov cocktail into this already burning fire and see how we handle this thing. It's just ridiculous. Like, again, they really would have been better off not drafting him. Because I think if you were going to draft him, you were going to have to say, okay, he's the quarterback of the future, or at least the quarterback that is highest of priority when it comes to development, and let him either fail or succeed as any other normal quarterback would. I think the way they're treating this, because there's another guy who's a young guy who they drafted higher, made it a lot harder for that to happen.
Do you realize how, if you pull back, you realize how crazy this is? We are now ripping the Cleveland Browns for taking Shedeur Sanders. He was falling in the draft, and they drafted him, and it was like, how dare you? Why are we ripping everybody who didn't draft him? I mean, they're the one team that advocated for this player, and now they're the ones taking the most criticism.
But Pearl, we did. That was Maggie on that Monday saying that the NFL teams look foolish for not taking Shedeur Sanders after week 1. So we have and we are still fooling, talking about those other teams, saying that they look like fools.
Well, I don't know about that.
What's wrong with you people?
Do they? I don't think that Maggie would say that today. Now maybe they look.
But what I've seen, though, is that it seems like the folks who are in that Shedeur Sanders camp, so to speak, and I mean not his actual camp, but just the fans of him, feel like what you saw on Saturday was not his fault.
No, and I agree with that.
Right. But they're not saying, oh, it's not his fault, so it's not a big deal. What they're saying is it's not his fault because he was set up to fail.
Yeah, that's why his fans are driving me crazy on the internet, because it's a preseason game. Like, chill out. Just let this happen. Like, every single snap of a preseason game is not a referendum on where Shedeur Sanders is in the NFL. Like, every other preseason game was meaningless. Like, there were so many guys even in that game. I have never heard of this human being. And then and I'm sure you haven't either. We both watch a lot of college football, and they're like, well, yeah, this guy was a backup in the UFL, and now he's like, he played college football 6 years ago. Like, it's preseason.
But Pearl,
don't overreact too much.
But Pearl, he's a lightning rod. So just like you could say the fans of Shedeur Sanders are annoying because they're putting so much into this. You know who else is also annoying, putting everything into every snap and every play he makes? His haters. Like, because we gotta be real about this. We cannot act like we're in a bubble and Shedeur Sanders is only beloved and only cheered for and only has fans. He has a lot of people who are fans of him, people who are in the media, people who watch just the games in general, who are rooting for him to fail. That is a fact. They rooted for him to fail in Colorado. They rooted for him to fail at Jackson State, and they're rooting for him to fail in the NFL. A lot of folks who were dancing and excited that he was falling in the draft because they felt like this was a player who was overrated, that was being humbled. So when we talk about this idea that his fans are being annoying and that they're living on and breathing on one snap, it's not a big deal. Well, yeah, they're living and breathing on every snap in part because they know that if he fails, that's going to be fuel for the folks to say, see, I told you this guy was overrated. I told you this guy needed to be humbled, and I told you this guy didn't belong.
Where are these haters, Gabriel?
Where are these haters?
I don't see them. I see so many loud Shedeur advocates. I don't see a lot of Shedeur haters.
There are a lot of people out there who when he fell in the draft, explained that he should have fell, and they were happy he fell. There are a lot of people who rooted against
those people aren't
against
on TV.
Colorado. On TV, I don't know. I'd have to really look at TV and say who are the Colorado fails, who aren't. I know for a fact there are people who are Shedeur fans who do feel like he has a lot of haters. And all I can do is just go into our social media page. Every time we post a Shedeur Sanders post, I see half the people that love Shedeur Sanders and think he should play more. I see half the people that say Shedeur Sanders is a bum and he doesn't deserve a shot because he's not that good. So this is not this idea that he's just this lovable guy that everyone is rooting for. He's kind of like Tim Tebow. He's very polarizing.
All right, we want to hear from you, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Did the Browns do a disservice to Shedeur Sanders by drafting him in the first place and the way they developed him? 15 guys caught passes for Cleveland. And real quick, can I share some of the stalwarts?
I want to hear about
Joe Flacco?
Jarvis Landry.
Well, Jamari Thrash, we knew him from Louisville. He was pretty good, actually, by the way. He was, I think, basically wide receiver 1 because obviously Jerry Jeudy didn't play. Gage Lavardian was Dylan Gabriel's big target. I don't know how many snaps he got. And Njoku played a little bit, got some catches. Sal Cannella got catches. But then we go down to powerhouses like Amani Marshall, Blake Whiteheart, Chase Cota, Caden Davis. Actually, it's amazing. Deontay Johnson, I forgot. Is that the Deontay Johnson? I forgot he's there.
Yeah, he's on that team.
For now, I'm curious. By the way, they did mention something about cut down day.
Yeah, because he's been basically kind of unavailable and not that good.
And they have the young tight end Harold Fannin Jr.
How many catches did Josh Gordon have?
Josh, yeah.
You're going to ask about Braylon Edwards next?
I mean, they wanted Quinshon, and Quinshon Judkins was not in uniform, and he's supposed to be there. They want to run the ball. Like, they have to run the ball. Listen, you have Joe Flacco, quarterback, and their running game's all messed up. They should have taken TreVeyon Henderson in the draft. They took the wrong Ohio State running back, EJ.
Listen, it's the Browns. They just were a mess. The fact that they wasted they had 6 draft picks, I believe. 2 of them were quarterbacks. 2 of them are running backs.
Yeah.
That's just malpractice. That's why I look at this thing. I'm like, how can you not play the Cleveland Browns? Like, they displayed within that draft with other picks that they made that they didn't know what the hell they were doing. They took the wrong Ohio State quarterback. They took too many, Ohio State running back. They took too many running backs.
Yeah.
And then they also took too many quarterbacks, and they took in the 5th round this guy who's this ultimate lightning rod that's going to bring all this attention, positive and negative. I mean, they're an absolute clown show.
Well, you've talked me into believing this is actually a good thing. Carson Swessinger, who they did take out of UCLA, he looks really
I like him.
Which is funny. Yeah. It's typical Browns to watch them make 3 really good picks out of this draft.
They always get some defensive players that end up being pretty good.
All right, next we're going to transition to college football. We have not spent nearly enough time talking about the father-son fight after the Iowa State-Kansas State game.
Oh, my goodness.
That is one of the miracles of sports. We're going to get into that next. And also we're going to look around, do some expectations for a couple really big teams, including one, Manny, that is near and dear to your heart.
Correct.
Out of State College, Pennsylvania. That's next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We're going to do some college football season expectations in a second. Who saw the fight between Avery Johnson's dad and Avery Johnson's brother, the Kansas State quarterback, known here as Sunshine, after a tough loss to Iowa State, in the parking lot, in a puddle? The Johnson
in
family
country.
In a different continent.
We're going at it, and it looked like, I mean, there was no punches being held back. This was a real fight, EJ.
I think there were so many things about this I loved. Number one, everyone kept assuming that their fight, like when they saw the headline, these two guys were fighting some other guy.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yes. No, they were fighting themselves, number one. Number two, where's the white people in this fight? Why are there only black people fighting? They're related to Avery Johnson. A lot of people didn't know he was black. Like he's mixed race. He's biracial. So there was that aspect where it's like, wait, that's Avery Johnson's dad and that's his brother. So people were confused about that. And three, it was like, is this serious? These guys got into a brawl against each other after a loss in Dublin. Like what? Like it is like a Mad Libs of insane, really observations of the situation.
And I'll throw in at least a number 4 is that his brother is built like Larry Johnson, and his dad was whooping his butt.
Oh yeah, also the dad was kicking his ass.
Right.
Yeah, this was a one-sided fight.
How can you beat up your son? This is in front of
your
people.
Grown son. Like, just think of so his dad's got to be north of 50, right?
Yeah.
And his brother's, early 20s. Like, good on that. I'm not in any way advocating for child abuse or anything like that. I'm just saying a guy that old, that age, beating up a guy that young in shape is weirdly impressive.
It is
old man strength.
I mean, listen, this college football season is going to be awesome.
Here we
because
go.
It's already started out crazy. All right, we got to break down some big teams' expectations for this year. We've been going through all the major conferences. Time to dive into 4 more teams. All right, EJ, let's get started. What would a successful season look like for Arkansas Razorbacks?
I think Manny's upset, by the way, because
am I not driving?
Because he didn't get the answer to ask the question.
Oh.
It's okay. Arkansas, I'm going 8 wins. So Arkansas is a team that is kind of weird. Like, they have this massive coach on the hot seat in Sam Pittman, but they do have a returning quarterback who is pretty good in Taylon Green. In fact, if he was stayed at Boise, he probably wouldn't play in the college football playoff. Bobby Petrino's offense showed some signs of growth over the course of last season. He is their OC. This is year 2. The problem, number one, turnovers. They had 30 fumbles last year, which is an insane number. They were 1-6 in games where they had at least 2 fumbles. And 2, the schedule is not easy. It's not impossible, but you do have likely 2 road losses at LSU and Texas. You have a non-conference game against Memphis and a non-conference game against Notre Dame. Those are not going to be cupcakes at all. So a tricky schedule, but good quarterback. It's been kind of a long road since the 10-win days of Bobby Petrino when he was a head coach. I think if you get to 8 wins, I think those Razorback fans maybe get off Sam Pittman's back a little bit.
Okay, but let's be realistic here. They're not going anywhere with Sam Pittman. You know it. I know it.
Yeah,
probably they should have ripped that Band-Aid already. Like, what is really good for this program? With 8 wins, by the way, I don't know if 8 wins saves Sam Pittman's job. Probably.
You don't think so?
Yeah, I guess bowl eligible would, but even so, is that what you want as an Arkansas fan?
No, it's not what they want, but I think it would be a success, though, for them, for that team.
Yeah, I think big picture might not be a success. All right, Manny, you're going to take over driving. Who's next?
How about the Baylor Bears? Big 12 coming off an 8-5 season. What would a successful season for the Baylor Bears look like?
Okay, so we've been doing basically the same one for every Big 12 team. You got to either win the Big 12 or be in the title game and at least have a shot to be in the final 12 playoffs. Now, they have a shot. They got Sori Robertson is really sneaky NFL product because he's big.
Yeah.
And their offense caught total fire at the end of last year. So there's a chance, there seemed like a feast or famine program a little bit. Like,
definitely.
They had these random really good years. Feels like this could be a random really good year led by the offense, led by their quarterback. What do you think, EJ?
Yeah, I make the Big 12 title game. Like, I know some teams I think you have to win. I think Arizona State has to win. And I think if Baylor makes it, I think that's a success. They're going to have an opportunity also potentially at large, though. That's why I say make it, because they will have a non-conference game on the road in week 2 against SMU. If you win that game and SMU becomes an ACC champion or an ACC title contender, that boasts your non-conference resume and in theory could boast your resume as a team to potentially get in as an at-large. That's why I say make the college football playoff. You're right. They have a great quarterback. They also have one of the best running backs in Bryson Washington as well. So good offensive line, good backfield. If you make the Big 12 playoff or Big 12 title game, rather, you got a shot.
Okay, yeah, I totally agree on that. Manny, what is next?
They lost in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, pushed their record down to 6-7. They finished below 500. What would a successful season look like for the Virginia Tech Hokies?
Yeah, to me, this is a program that feels a bit stuck in the mud, right? So Brent Pry, 3 wins in year 1, 7 wins in year 2, 6 wins in year 3. They have not had double-digit wins since 2016. That was Justin Fuente's first season. I'm going 8 wins for Virginia Tech, so similar to Arkansas. Kyron Drones is an interesting athlete. I mean, he has shown signs of really putting it together, but they've had terrible offensive line play. He's gotten hurt in part because of that offensive line play, and there are more questions on the offensive line this year. So the idea that a team that couldn't protect Drones last season is going to protect them better this year, even though they lost their starting left tackle and lost some other pieces. They brought in a bunch of guys from West Virginia, ironically. 2 offensive linemen from West Virginia transferred in there. I don't know. I think they're just trying to get that arrow going up. I don't think you can expect them to really jump some of the top teams in the ACC.
Yeah.
But they do have a really good linebacking core and a solid defense. Schedule is manageable. So I'm going 8 wins for the Hokies.
I'll agree with that. There are some Kyron Drones truthers out there. It's been disappointing. Like, there are some people who thought because he's very athletic, he's gigantic. He's strong.
He's like 230.
He's strong as all get out. Tough game to start the season against South Carolina.
In Atlanta.
Yeah, so his schedule's tough. I'm not sure I'm feeling much. I agree. Stuck in the mud is a perfect way to describe them. All right, let's knock it out. Last team, Manny.
A team near and dear to my heart and to Justin Rock as well, who will be making his Maggie and Perloff debut on Wednesday. What would a successful season look like for last season's national semifinalists, the Penn State Nittany Lions?
There are maybe 4, maybe 5 teams we say this for. This is championship or bust. And I know that's funny with James Franklin. Really, I know he got to the Final Four last year, has not proven he can do it in the big game. But with Drew Aller coming back, with the 2 running backs coming back, I know they lost their 2 best players, Abdul Carter and Tyler Warren. Doesn't matter. They have a lot coming back, and they brought in some more talent. Like, they brought in wide receivers for the first time ever. This is it. Like, Ohio State is starting a freshman quarterback. Michigan is starting a freshman quarterback. They have to win the Big Ten. And then Alabama and Georgia arguably down. Like, it feels like the Red Sea is parting for Penn State. Championship or bust.
Yeah, I agree. Win the college football playoffs is what I wrote here for Penn State. You got Drew Aller. You have 2,000-yard back last year in Tron Allen and Nicholas Singleton coming back. Also, by the way, I know you lose Abdul Carter, but they still have a ferocious pass rush
They always have another guy right behind them.
Dennis Sutton is a former 5-star. Zane Durant in the middle is an absolute beast. One of the top guys in the Freak Awards that come out every year at The Athletic. He's been there, I think, 2 years in a row. This is a team that has not won a national title since 1986. My mom's a Penn State grad. She was a freshman the last time they won a national title. I think they expect to be on that platform a lot more than they have in the last 40 years.
Yeah.
So to me, this is a team, given what they did last season, given all the conversation around James Franklin, winning a college football playoff is the only way Penn State has a successful season.
You know, I remember there was a Penn State team. Oh, it was 94. They didn't win that year.
Undefeated.
But they were undefeated, and that team was – I've never seen a Penn State – by the way, you think this team is loaded? That team was loaded in a major way. That's the best.
John Carter, Kerry Collins.
Kerry guys, Kyle
Brady.
Bobby Ingram, I think, was on that roster. Anyway, that was before the BCS even, and they didn't get a chance. I think Nebraska won the whole thing. Anyway, Penn State, a lot of pressure, not to put more pressure on James Franklin. I don't think he's going anywhere. There's no hot seat there. I mean, this is a guy who recruits at an unbelievable level to a school that, to me, is not a no-brainer in today's day and age to recruit. They're out in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, and they get everybody. You know, they're right there with the SEC schools. One of the ones that always amazed me, he got a commitment from Justin Fields out of Atlanta to come to Penn State. It turned out Fields left, but regardless, like James Franklin does everything except win the big game.
Yeah, to me, the pressure for him is not win or you're fired. It's a win or you're a forever choker and loser. That's the thing. It's a legacy question.
Yeah, definitely.
It's because he's a guy where you look at his win-loss record, he's going to be one of the winningest coaches of his generation. But people are going to still think of him as a guy who couldn't get done in the big games, a guy that couldn't beat Ohio State and Michigan when it mattered, a guy who couldn't win a national title. And to me, if he wants to get that stench off of him, similar to what Ryan Day did last season, that's where the pressure lies for someone like James Franklin.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Headlines. Andrew Bogusch, what do you got?
Guys, last night was opening night of the U.S. Open. Novak Djokovic, Jessica Pegula winning without much drama at Arthur Ashe Stadium. The mayhem was on Louis Armstrong, where 13th-seeded Daniil Medvedev was facing Benjamin Bonzi. Benji had match point in the third set. Before a second serve, a photographer decided to walk on the court to change his location. The chair umpire decided to restart the point because of the very short delay, angering Medvedev, who has a history of going bonkers. During this argument with Greg Allensworth, Medvedev yelled this into a courtside camera.
He wants to go home, guys. He doesn't like to be here. He gets paid by the match, not by the hour.
He also referenced a different player who called Allensworth the worst chair ump on tour. There was booing. Medvedev was egging it on, waving to the crowd, doing the Hulk hand to his ear thing. The booing lasted 6 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Bonzi then lost the point and the game and the set, then the fourth set, but recovered to complete the upset in 5.
So he had a little temper tantrum and then he got bounced from the tournament?
Yeah, it saved him for a second or two, but then he was out. And then when he lost for good, he destroyed his racket.
Oh, I gotta love it. I love tennis players, man.
You do?
Not really.
Tonight's schedule
actually
includes Venus Williams' return to a major singles draw. The Marlins beat the Blue Jays yesterday afternoon 5-3. Tyler Phillips worked a perfect ninth for his second save of the season, which got him a post-game chat on Marlins radio.
Tyler, you threw 32 pitches yesterday. When did you know you were going in tonight?
When they called down.
And you were ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready. They called down, I'm pissed off, I'm ready to go.
Why do you get so pissed off?
I don't like hitters.
How did you get through that 9th?
Throw the ball over the plate.
How long does it take you to cool down after a win?
I never cool down.
And the slapping, what was the level of slapping when you came on?
Pretty hard, my face is hot.
Great win, you're scaring me. Go to the clubhouse. Thank you very much.
What a try hard. Oh, God. Get out of here with this act.
The slapping question, by the way, is because he slaps himself across the face a few times as he leaves the bullpen and comes into the mound.
Why do you have hate for this, man? This was awesome.
This sucks. This is so dumb.
This is exactly what you would do.
Not at all. Not at all. I wouldn't slap my own face. Are you drunk?
You would 100% walk in doing something to fire yourself up.
I would be petrified of the moment. I am coming in. I am a very a nervous person in general, I would be taking as many deep breaths as I possibly could because I'm hyperventilating underneath all of that. That's what would happen.
In baseball, we're looking for more excitement, more characters, more personality.
Bro, just throw 99 down the plate. That's what I want to watch. Throw an 88-mile-per-hour slider with 19 inches of break, bro. I don't need all of this. I don't need all of this BS.
But Manny, that's what
man.
they've been doing, and it hasn't been working, which is why we're celebrating guys showing more personality and bringing more excitement to the game.
What personality is he showing, EJ? He's giving you 2-word answers.
It's hilarious. It's funny.
That's
comedy. He was so stoic in the video.
Yeah, the whole thing, by the way, is 58 seconds, and there's about 12 questions in there.
Yeah,
with 2-word answers.
It's great. I mean, who could hate this? I'm sorry. I don't.
People with a brain.
Thanks for that, Manny.
Baseball also gave us a young kid named Russell who won the chance to do some play-by-play during yesterday's Mariners telecast. This was the very first pitch that Russell, who was in Mariners gear head to toe, got to call with the A's at the plate.
And the pitch.
Ooh.
Hit out into left field.
Russell, what are we doing?
Why?
You can think of it as being very lucky or
What
very
is
unlucky.
going on around here, Russell?
Man. That's just sad.
Wait,
what happened?
A's shortstop Jacob Wilson homered. I don't think he actually cursed, but that was a long shh.
Oh, he definitely cursed.
No, I think because if you listen and you watch, there's no jump in the thing. The play-by-play guy, I think, was afraid of the curse being completed, so he jumped back in.
What is this, a Phillies game?
But poor little Russell, really angry at Jacob
Explain
Wilson.
again, like you said, like, 12-year-old Russell got a chance. Is this something that happens? I'm not aware of this out there.
Yeah, it's a kid caster.
The Mets do it.
The Mets do it.
Oh,
the Mariners do it.
Yeah, they do it every now and then. They'll let a kid call an inning or whatever. My thing was, do the kids normally show up in head to toe gear of the team they're calling?
Show some professionalism, kid.
Yeah. This is your first outing. You got to show some professionalism.
Well, the surprising thing was, I'm pretty sure when the Mets do it every year, you get to call a Mets at bat as a Mets fan. 'Cause that's who they're picking. The kid they picked this year cried when they told him that he won. So, but this guy's doing the top of the inning, so he's calling the A's doing fun things in Seattle.
The guy is calling the top of the eighth. The kid. He's a kid. He's not a guy.
The kid.
He's a male, so he still can be a guy even if he's 12.
Little bro.
Because if I was 12, I would say that guy over there.
That'd be little bro.
Little bro.
Yeah. By the way, the Mariners won this game 11-4. Cal Raleigh went deep twice, so the Big Dumpers got 49 homers, the most ever now by a catcher. And I gave you guys almost the entire show, and I believe you didn't listen to Dion.
Don't forget, I had 2 sons, right?
2 or 3, but who's counting? Shiloh also in the news yesterday, waived by the Bucks the day after getting tossed from their preseason finale for taking a swing at a Bill player.
Wait, you can't swing? You can't throw a punch at somebody?
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Shiloh is I think he's like, I will be a 1997 NFL safety. I will go out there and I will get penalties. I will lead with my helmet. Like Shiloh is basically putting that fight on tape for other teams. And I love it.
What you know what's bizarre about him is, number one, when you see his personality, he does interviews or he's on streams and stuff, he is like extremely likable. And colorful and mild-mannered.
Supportive of his brother.
He seems like the most fun time. Like, if you ask me which brother I want to hang out with the most, I would actually pick Shiloh. Because he seems like a guy who actually could bring around my friends and we have a good time. But the problem is he's really tiny and too nice to be this guy on the field who's getting all these flags and stuff.
He's a big personal foul guy.
Yeah, I know.
In Colorado,
but watching him in that play where he's getting blocked into the end zone by a tight end, the tight end looked like he could have been his dad. You talking about the guy who got in the fight that lost his son? I mean, this guy, I know he looked like he got him by 60 pounds, 70 pounds. And poor Shiloh, he's a safety, but he looks like he's about 190 dripping wet. And there's nothing he could do but start swinging on the guy because that was his only defense of getting out of that engagement.
Well, I like that he's, obviously like Shedeur, a rich kid, has every break in the world because of his last name and goes out there and plays like a psycho. I mean, he's 6 feet tall, listed at 196 at the combine. Yes, that is all the small.
Tiny. When I watched him on the field, I mean, he looked tiny kind of in Colorado, but watching him in that play against an NFL tight end, I was like, yeah, he don't look like he belongs out there.
Nah, that's tough.
Apparently, he's played pretty well in camp, too, but I was like,
Shiloh, 6 feet, $195. Zach Davidson, 6'7", 251.
Wow.
Yeah, it looked like that.
Bogusch, that might have been one of the most random updates you've ever had. That was a great sound.
You're welcome.
That's one of my favorites.
All right, coming up, I got my 5 utterly random players I fell in love with in NFL preseason. And I got to be honest, even though week 3, I fell in love hard. That's next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Daily was waiting by that glowing screen, hoping night shift crown would go to the king. Ship held it down night after night, with fire in his voice and truth in his mic. But the news came in like a cold hard slap. Pat Boyle's got it, felt like a trap. No shade on the kid, but let's be real, Shepard earned a late night deal. Now Shepard ain't sleeping and Daly's in tears. The Shepard maniac's been loyal for years. We stayed up late, we rode every wave, but they gave it to Pat and dug Ship's grave. So we howled at the moon and cursed at the sky, asking one question: why, oh why, oh why? Meanwhile, the Lottie still don't show up for work. No call, no text, just gone with a smirk. Yet Ship clocked in through the thick and the thin. Rain or shine, he'd always check in. Infinity, you broke our trust. We wanted Shep and that's a must. You picked a Boyle, but we needed flame. Now the overnights just won't be the same. Yeah, Shep, it ain't sleeping, we're twisted with rage. You skipped the vet for the new kid on stage. From the Bronx to the burbs, we're standing tall. Shep, a maniacs, answer every call. So crank up the static, let the record show. There's only one man for that late night blow. Pat's got the slot, but it don't feel right, 'cause Shep ain't sleeping, not tonight. That ain't sleeping, we're twisted. Still ghosting. Daily was waiting by that book.
Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. EJ Stewart sitting in for Maggie. There's so much on our rundown today that we didn't get to. I want to squeeze this in because I think you'll appreciate some of these choices. Every preseason week I've done players that I've fallen in love with, fully knowing that it's preseason love. It's like when you're 15 and you get your first girlfriend. Like, it's not going to last. I'm well aware of that.
Dang.
I'm well aware of that, but it's like puppy love. But I can watch a preseason game and be like, that is my guy. So
okay,
let's start off Detroit, the guy who's really been everybody's guy, rookie wide receiver, Isaac Tesla, had another brilliant touchdown. He's had an incredible preseason. And then he did the worm after. Let's hear it.
Second drive for the Lions. Reynolds once again the tailback, and Allen will take a shot down the sideline and in there. It's another touchdown for Isaac Tesla, who worms his way to his home pylon.
That's pretty incredible. EJ, a white receiver who can do the worm like that in the end zone, that's something, right?
I think the worm is one of those moves that anybody can do or should be able to do if they try. By the way, I think the worm also is the number one in the power rankings of corny dance that everyone loves.
But the problem is you really have to commit to it. Like you can't go halfway.
Yeah, you can't quit halfway through.
I mean, this Tesla story, this incredible athletic profile coming out of the draft, he was at Arkansas who cannot throw the ball. It's funny, we were just talking about Arkansas earlier in the show, so he never did anything in college. But then I got to tell you who my hero is. Brad Holmes, the Lions GM. I mean, man, he knows what he's doing right now.
Yeah,
he is on fire. So that's my big one. Let's go to the Raiders. There's the play of the preseason might be Geno Smith threw a back shoulder pass to a rookie named Dante Thornton Jr., who just Dante Thornton. I don't know a ton about. Was at Tennessee. Looking at his numbers, he averaged 25.4 yards per reception last year at Tennessee.
Yeah.
How did that happen? He looks really good in camp and might get some real run there. It is junior. Here's his numbers at the combine.
Yep.
4.30 40. And he's 6'5". Like he is Al Davis's ideal wide receiver with the Raiders. So that'd be fun. I think Geno Smith looked great in limited preseason action. A couple other guys.
Okay.
Ollie Gordon, and this can be out of necessity in Miami because things aren't looking great for Devon Achane.
Yeah.
Solid performance, 8 carries, 43 yards. This is more of a fantasy pick, but I'm really interested in Ollie Gordon, who's I would think it's fair to say his college career was a massive, massive disappointment.
Absolutely.
Should have been a star, got off-field problems. But Ollie Gordon has it. One of those guys, even if you don't do it in college, you get in the right spot. Now, I'm going to stay in Miami. We've been down on the Dolphins as a show, especially Maggie.
Yes.
They have pass rushers coming out of their ears. And there was one guy who did a move this weekend. Chop Robinson, nobody talks about him. He was a first-round pick out of Penn State. He put a move on a tackle. I honestly felt bad for the tackle. I don't know if this tackle was as a starter or whatever. He, in the right spot, is a human missile. He could kill quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But you never talk about the Dolphins because they have all these pass rushers. They have this incredible speed pass rush package. Are they going to get to use it, EJ? That's my concern.
He's the one guy, when I look at their roster, as much as I'm down the Dolphins as well, I always say, ooh, I'm interested if that guy still has some juice. I really like them coming out of the draft.
Look at their line. Chop Robinson's, Zach Sealer, who they just paid, Bradley Chubb. They have Jordan Phillips. They have Kenneth Grant. They have and they signed Judon last week. Yeah. Matthew Judon, we didn't even talk about it. If they ever get a lead, they should unleash these guys. Okay, but if I'm going to go defense, the guy who really stood out to me, Packers. That's another team we have not talked enough about. Quay Walker chased down Jalen Milroe, the former Alabama quarterback. Seattle third string quarterback, third round pick. He's the fastest football player I mean, he barely outran Ryan Williams at Alabama last year. He never, ever got caught. He didn't do everything he wanted at Alabama, but he's unbelievably fast. I saw Quay Walker chasing him.
Yep.
He looked 2 steps faster than Jalen Milroe.
Yeah.
That dude is a human missile on the Green Bay Packers. And I think the Green Bay Packers, it's a preseason, so I can't judge too much. Their defense could be legit. Maybe we're making a mistake, and not just us, but I think all of NFL Nation, not talking about the Packers enough.
Quay Walker, one of those players, you love his athleticism. Problem is, he's good for a back-breaking 15-yard penalty in December and January.
Getting older, though.
I know, but I keep waiting for this thing to get out of his system, and it's not.
Well, they have now.
I hope so.
They have 2 unbelievably athletic potential star linebackers. Edgerrin Cooper was a revelation last year. Man, I got to tell you, Quay Walker, and I think it's because he wears that low number, he always stands out to me. My eyeballs tell me that guy is going to be a star. So those are my preseason week 3 standouts. I can't wait for the real season to start. I'm curious. Started out with Lions, Isaac Tesla. Would you be surprised if he was a real contributor in that offense, which tries so many different things?
No, because they throw the kitchen sink at you. And I know Ben Johnson's gone, but you got to expect they're going to have a similar offense this season. This guy's been a revelation, so no question.
Yeah, just the fact that they were smart enough to take him says I'm not going to sell on the Lions stock just yet. EJ, that was great. I want to, you'll be here tomorrow, but also Andrew Bogusch will be in the big chair.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody listening. Thanks, everybody behind the glass. We will see you tomorrow.